Welcome to the 2021 World College Poker Main Event Final Table. Here are your hosts, Matt Berkey, Clayton Fletcher, and Alec. All right, folks, the long-awaited World Championship of World College Poker has finally made it. We have battled from over 1,000 players from all across the world on Pokerstars.net down to the final six. And today we will decide who truly is the best college poker player on the planet. I'm Alec, one of your many hosts today and one of our many people you'll see on the stream. But of course, I'm joined by two fantastic people. First off, founder of Solve for Why, millions in tournament earnings, way better poker than I'll ever be, and that's why he's on here to help us give a little expert perspective. Matt Berkey. Matt, how are you doing?
Thanks for the introduction, man. Very generous.
Absolutely. It's the truth. It's the absolute truth. And also with me, who has battled Matt Berkey in the felt and on the streets, and has done a few of these with me before, and we're excited to have him back. It's Clayton Fletcher. Clayton, how you doing, man?
Yeah, great. Very excited for the WCP main event today. Super excited to have my virtual nemesis, Matt Berkey. I don't think I've ever won a pot against him on any of the streaming platforms that we've played on. But yeah, it should be a good time. Very excited for the final six.
Absolutely. We got a really interesting final six. We've got a pretty big stack up at the top, somebody that's going to need to double up right away. And I just want to say, of course, we got a lot of guests that have wanted to join us here on the stream, and a lot of partners that have made this possible. Of course, our two big ones that we give a big thanks, and we will laud all throughout this broadcast. Pokerstars.net for helping set up the entire tournament, giving us a lot of support in all different facets, and of course Solve for Why with Matt giving us huge support, and for allowing us to host this on their channel. So for everybody watching that normally watches a lot of other fantastic poker content on Solve for Why, we're excited to be a part of that family. And now we have a whole lineup of guests, a lot of people that you might have seen before, maybe some you haven't met. And the first people we want to bring on are three players, actually, that played in our World College Poker main event worldwide. And one of them made it in the last 45, but you see them a lot on a lot of different vlogs that they've made. They've talked to Matt, they've talked to Patrick Antonius, and they are definitely rising in the poker world. It's Next Gen Poker, Frankie, Rosie, Jello, and I'm going to bring them in right now. Hello, gentlemen. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. 1 second, we're turning on our camera.
Hey, that's okay. It's an early morning still. But I just gave you this whole introduction. I didn't bring you in time to hear it. But
well, thank you. We
yes.
trust it was awesome.
Okay,
we
good.
Being here. Very excited to talk to everyone today.
Thank you for entrusting the intro to myself. But gentlemen, this is the second. While you're setting up, I'll chat you up. But this is the second tournament you've done and participated in for World College Poker. How do you feel like this one went, and what was your experience like?
Well, our deep runner
yeah.
Go first. The thing about three of us is one of us is bound to go deep, I guess. We're not just one person. I was the lucky one to get a little bit of a deep run in. I was in the top 45. I made it to day 3, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Busted pretty early on day 3, but it was pretty awesome to do my first deep run in a tourney.
Yeah, it was a blast. I ended up making it to day 2, so I made a little bit of a run, not as far as Rosie, unfortunately, but it was a good time. I thought it was set up really well, and I love the Pokerstars platform.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, for me, I ended up getting out pretty early, but I was watching this one on the sideline, and then we also did the fall event last year, and Jello did the best in that one. So we've done pretty well in these. Haven't got to the final table yet, but excited to see what all the countries will bring today at the final table.
Absolutely. Lots of different countries represented. Unfortunately, the United States of A could not get somebody in. That is unfortunate, but there will surely be another one where maybe the USA can be represented, and, of course, you three gentlemen gave us a good run at it. Talk to us a little bit just about, you do a lot of vlogs. You've shown us a lot of, almost you in a way you've kind of grown up in the last year in your poker careers on camera. You've been able to document from, you're starting at the Hideaway in Texas to then playing WPT events and at the Choctaw and all that. Tell us about what you've learned over the last year and a half or so of doing this vlog?
I mean, one thing we've learned is that we still have so much to learn. And we look back at our first videos, obviously, and just cringe at some of the plays we made.
Mm-hmm.
But we even do that with like the video we posted like last Tuesday. So a lot to learn, and I think that's exciting for us because we don't want to just conquer this game in a day. We're excited for the journey.
Yeah, there is a lot of things we can say. Obviously, just from the poker play itself, we've learned a ton from just playing and from the sponsors we've had, and as well from the amazing people we got to meet from the channel. So we actually got to be able to talk to a lot of really smart people. So I mean, the things we've learned so far have made us a lot better, but we basically learned that there's a lot to still learn.
Mm-hmm. Exactly what they said.
Exactly what they said. Yeah, I mean, it seems like as I'm sure a lot of people can feel like, if you're progressing, which you have done in this game, you look back a year before and you're like, oh my God, I was an idiot then. And next year you're going to look back on right now and be like, oh my God, we were idiots back then. That's that sort of mindset you have to have. What else are you excited about for the future of college poker? I mean, we're running these events. It seems like poker is on its way to making a comeback. I personally know so many people that play with their friends on the regular, and it continues to hold weight and popularity in our country and world. What else are you excited about the future of college players playing in the United States and abroad?
I'm real excited about the overall poker atmosphere becoming a bit younger. I think that is going to bring a whole new atmosphere to the game and completely change it around from the way it used to be. I'm seeing a lot more college students. Like you said, a bunch of my friends play poker as well. And with all these card rooms popping up around Texas and around other states as well coming up, there's going to be a ton more 18-plus kids playing. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I think we're on like the cusp of something really great, and I think that there hasn't been something out there for college students like this before, ever, like in the history of poker. So I see it, and funnily enough, I just played a poker game with just some actual like 19, 17-year-old guys, and I just love seeing the enthusiasm. They play twice, 3 times a week, so I see it through the people that DM us. I see the people we meet. I see it everywhere, and it's exciting.
Yeah, poker's about to get real fun, and I can't wait.
Yes, absolutely. Poker, especially like you said, there's almost I can remember just watching the World Series of Poker and seeing the Peter Eastgates, the Joe Cottas, that they're around our age. Those people that put their name, won that big bracelet, they were just around our age, and it brought a huge influx of people into the game. And there continues to be names. Of course, I think the three of you are, as you can tell by your fan base and the people you're bringing in, even on TikTok in particular, bringing in young people. Really quick before I let you go, that's what I think is the most interesting thing, is that you started posting hands on TikTok, and all of a sudden you're getting like 3 million views just out of nowhere, first video, and people were so intrigued by it. How do you think that happened?
The first of all, you have to give credit to the virality of TikTok as a platform. We literally went on there with 0 followers and posted a video, and within 24 hours it did 1 million, which is like unheard of. And I just think people are excited about this game because it's gambling but with an edge. You get the adrenaline rush, you get the excitement, I get the POV of like me right at the table, but we're also doing skill-based stuff. We have an edge on our opponents. So just the combination, I think, of those two aspects gets people fired up. And on TikTok, in a 1-minute video, you can really showcase that.
And Rosie's not going to say it himself, but he just does an amazing job keeping everyone entertained and keeping people that don't even know poker entertained. Like, we have people that watch the entire video. I've seen this thing 10 times. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Those comments all the time.
Right? So I mean, something about his voice, inflection, his tone, the pace of the video, it all plays a role in why it went viral. But, I think that it's just exciting overall because now there's so many new people that they have like the desire to learn based on these videos.
Absolutely. And, I did hear that since you brought in so many players, that you ended up winning those packages from PLO Quick Pro. John Beauprez is going to be on in a few moments to talk about that, and we thank you for that. But who's getting that? Who's getting that package? I've heard we're going to maybe compete for it.
It's not going to be easy.
It's not going to be easy.
We might actually have to turn this into some sort of video where we do some sort of challenge and the winner gets the package. I think that's going to be
a lot of people like seeing us play against each other too, so we might have to do a little tournament for the package as well. I mean, is there a way we could split it? Or no, we have to fight.
I think people want to see some blood.
Yeah,
people want to see blood in the streets. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. So look for that on a future vlog. And gentlemen, I think just from everybody here, I know that you've done a lot of work, like you said, making content, promoting this, and we've been happy to have your enthusiasm and just excitement as we've had for trying to grow this game. And big appreciation to you for being part of this journey with us. And as always, good luck in your games. Tear them up, beat those wrecks up. All the encouragement in the world for you. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you very soon, gentlemen.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Definitely. Thank you, Alec.
Appreciate it.
Keep killing it in the commentating booth.
Thank you. That's Frankie, Rosie, Jello from Next Gen Poker as we bring back to the gentleman while we wait for John Beauprez. So, gentlemen, what did you think, whether or not you've met them? I know Matt has met them before and maybe not Clayton yet, but what do you think of students like that getting into the game at such a young age and really inspiring others through their content?
I mean, they seem like great guys, first thing.
Yeah.
They just seem like really cool guys, and they clearly have a passion for the game. They kind of got me thinking, Alec, maybe we should talk to the bosses here at the WCP and work on a tag team event. Those guys could be a team. Maybe they can play against some of us who are, let's say, over 30 and see how it goes. A tag team event might be fun. But yeah, I think it's really important to have a squad. Matt, why don't you speak to that? Because I feel like one of the best ways to get better at the game is to have a group of friends that you play together. You talk about the game and you share your passion for the game.
Yeah, I mean, poker's hard, man. Poker is very hard. It's very insulated. Even when you do develop these groups, you kind of still grow within this, like, it's almost a bit of a like echo chamber where it's such a complex game that it's so incredibly important to be taking in all the information you can. But at the same token, it's like, it's hard to separate the signal from the noise and kind of filter through what's good and what's not. I think that's where it's really critical to build these, whether you want to call it a clique or a group or a friend support system, whatever the case may be. First and foremost, you have somebody who can relate, that you can lean on whenever things go bad, because things always go bad. But then secondarily, it's like not everybody's going to be of the same mind. Not everybody's going to have the same opinion. So it does give you the opportunity to kind of branch out. Like, each one of those guys will take on different interests. They'll pull in different information from other sources. And then they kind of use each other as a filter to really understand, like, what sticks, what's worthwhile, what is meaningful to both the group and everybody else involved.
Yeah. Now, Matt, in your case, I know that you have a strong sports background in baseball in particular. And I always liken this to, like, for example, there's more than one way to throw a curveball, right? There's different grips you can use, and like, you'll see kind of pitchers in the bullpen, even in the major leagues at the highest levels, kind of exchanging ideas about this is one way you can approach it. This is another way to approach it. And especially where it's not really clear what the right answer is, I think sometimes it's really helpful to have, like-minded or sometimes different-minded individuals that you can bounce ideas off of and be like, well, if you think this is wrong or this is bad or this is negative, expectation, let's talk about why. And I think that's why I love the name of your company, Solve for Why, because I think the why is just as important as, like, well, this is the right answer because I said so.
Yeah, I mean, from my vantage point, that's the beauty of poker, is that it is such a complex system where we don't really have much clarity over actual solutions. We only have a little bit of insight over, like, abstractions of hypothetical, theoretical solutions in a vacuum. So for me, like, root cause analysis is everything. It's literally the lifeblood of trying to get to good decision making. And if you're not able to formulate a thought process that's built around a Y-centric goal, right? Like taking action with purpose, then you're literally just taking action with the tangible goal in mind of I want to win a pot or something of that nature. And that's very flawed because that's not how the game works.
Right.
We just don't get to kind of like succumb to our whims every single time that we enter a hand.
It wouldn't be much fun to play. I mean, maybe for one day to be able to have that kind of superpower would be great, but I think the game itself would become rather boring if it were so linear. It's kind of what makes the game fascinating, why some of us are basically going to be involved in poker in some way or another for the rest of our lives, is because similar to like golf or other impossible games, you never really do reach the absolute solution. I mean, maybe Limit Hold'em Heads Up is solved, but most more complicated games are not solved now, and I don't care what the computers think, they will never actually be 100% solved.
Yeah, I mean, never say never. The singularity is a real potential outlet or outcome. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with you. Like, if they ever do become solved, it's a non sequitur. Like, poker's just not important to us anymore because society's advanced in a way that is pretty profound. But I think that's like the big takeaway is that poker, this silly game that was invented with 52 cards and a certain subset of rules, actually demonstrates like one of the most complex sandboxes that parallels to real life that we've ever seen. So it's why it's so fascinating to people who are lay people otherwise, right? It's why it's so fascinating to robotics and AI and all these other deep tech realms, because there is a corollary to other real world problems that you can solve through actual essentially root cause analysis or logical frameworks.
And I'm going to cut you off because we got our bracelet winner in here. John has joined us from PLO QuickBro. John, can you hear me? I know he's setting up his video there.
Maybe he's there. He's there.
He's there. I can hear you. Yep, I can hear you.
Perfect. I am trying to get my stuff set up here, so give me just one moment.
Hey, that's okay. While you're doing, I've been chatting up. It's an early. There you are. What are you
Nice.
talking about? You look beautiful, John. You look beautiful this morning. How are you, man? It's been a minute since we chatted on the World Couch Poker YouTube channel, but how you been?
Excellent. I just want to make sure I got it. Oh, there it is. All right, I pulled it up. Looks good. What's happening?
Not too much. We really just wanted to bring you on to talk a little bit and just kind of thank you, obviously, for all of those fabulous vacation packages. I mean, you've done it with us for a couple tournaments now, but this time around, I mean, there was just some incredible amount of vacation packages. And just talk to me a little bit about, why you were excited and why you have continued to sort of partner with us here at World College Poker.
Yeah, I like the way that you guys approach the future of poker. I think that it's important to keep a steady stream of new players coming into the game. I think a lot of, certainly I speak for myself when, I started playing poker when I was in college. And I think that most players generally do start playing when they're in college, when they have a lot of free time and they have, the time resources to devote to becoming better players and everything like that. So I think what you guys are doing, it's a really cool angle, and I'm happy to contribute.
Absolutely, and one of the things that not only you're contributing along with a lot of the packages and all that is education. And while we're playing No Limit Hold'em today, you're PLO Quick Pro, and there's that success blueprint that everybody can go download and find on your website. But tell us a little bit about what that sort of blueprint entails, what it's going to teach you, and maybe how you transition from a No Limit Hold'em game to PLO, because a lot of people are doing it now.
Right. Well, I think one of the biggest hesitations that No Limit players have going from No Limit to PLO is they think that if they spend more time working, or they dedicate some amount of time to working on PLO or learning PLO, that's going to actually hurt their No Limit game.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually experienced the opposite. I find that it's good to kind of exercise that area of your brain where you're learning new things, you're seeing poker from a different angle. Sometimes if you're playing one game or one format, whether it be cash games or tournament, for a long period of time, the game starts to stagnate and you sort of start to autopilot. And I think what's nice about, focusing a little on PLO is it reframes some of the things that you already knew. maybe you start to look at different board textures differently, and since you can't overbet the pot in PLO, you start to pay attention to SPR maybe a little bit closer because you don't have the luxury of just betting 1.5 pots or 2 pots or something like that. So I really found that when because I started out as a no limit player like most people do, and when I transferred to PLO, I think I was only playing PLO for a couple of years, and then when I went back and started playing no limit tournaments more and no limit cast, I felt actually like my no limit game was supercharged. Like I felt like I had a pretty big advantage over the guys who were quote unquote no lit specialists because I was taking lines they hadn't seen before. I was paying, I was used to, planning out how to get stacks in by the river because I didn't have the luxury of overbetting the river and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that that's what I would tell people who are kind of on the fence about wanting to spend some time to transition to PLO. On top of the fact that I flat out just think that PLO games are softer. I think that especially at the high stakes, you see that most of the games that run include some PLO, whether they be half and half or just PLO. So certainly, I think it's worth it if you're a no limit specialist to get at least to the point with PLO that you can at least hang for a couple of rounds, or at least hop in some games when they're incredible and be able to win.
Absolutely, and that's half of the game. Half of the game is doing your learning on the side, doing the studying off the table, and half the game is finding the right game to stay into, and to win. You got to find winnable soft games, and it seems like as people are getting more used to no limit hold'em, that PLO is the place to go. Before you go, what's something that you could learn in that PLO success blueprint that you think a lot of people have trouble with right off the bat?
Well, I think the element of the success blueprint that's most impactful is what's called teach people how to create profitable post-flop scenarios. And basically what it does is help you select the proper hands pre-flop that allow you to create profitable post-flop situations for yourself. I mean, no limit and PLO are similar in the sense that where people have the most glaring leaks and the leaks that cost them the most are typically pre-flop, because pre-flop is the only street that you're forced to play every hand.
Right.
So it really is learning about what hands to play pre-flop that create profitable post-flop situations for yourself in terms of stack size, in terms of SPR, number of opponents, position. Every hand has a hand that aligns perfectly with those things. So yeah, I would say that's the biggest takeaway.
Absolutely. Now, where can we find that PLO success blueprint?
If you just go to PLOquickquote.com, it's right there on the front page. You can't miss it.
Perfect. Can't miss it. John, as always, it's a pleasure, man. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
John Beauprez. I've really enjoyed our first conversation with him on our YouTube channel, and now we keep the guests rolling, gentlemen. The guests don't stop here on World College Poker, as we all remember. It's time to bring in Colton Horn. Colton, can you hear me? Thanks for being patient. I know you're ready to jump in and talk to us.
Absolutely. It's great to be here, guys. How are you?
Doing great.
Hey, Colton.
Hey, excited to be here. It's going to be a great day.
Absolutely, it's going to be a great day, and I know that because are you and I the same age? Because I'm like 21. Are you a little older?
Pretty close. Pretty close.
Pretty
man.
close.
22. Just finished college in June.
Very nice. And so you started this brain fuel brand that I've really heard a lot of lately in the poker world, with Jonathan Little, and particularly with being the fuel of White Magic himself, Phil Hellmuth, to go to 7 or 8-0 in the high stakes duel. Tell us about how you got this whole brand started, and why you decided to maybe shift into the poker world a little bit.
Absolutely. I wish we could take some credit for Phil's White Magic, but that's just Phil, right? So, but no, I'll give the really quick backstory. My dad is an eye surgeon, and he has these 11-hour surgery days. And as he's gotten older, he's had to try to find ways to stay energized. And the problem, as most of you probably know, with coffee or energy drinks, even though they could be great, is you have a spike and crash effect where you feel really energized, right? And then it sputters, and then you don't feel so good. You need more. So he started experimenting with how can I support caffeine with really healthy fuels like collagen and MCT oil and really strong antioxidants like vitamin C and vitamin E. And if you put all these different things together and some more, you can actually use the caffeine all day long and just feel great with no crash. So he started using it, for himself just to get through surgery days. He gave it to me. I was a junior at Northwestern University at that point in time. I started sharing it with some of my friends, and they were like, wait, this is better than Adderall. I could actually study on this. I could work. I don't feel jittery. And so we knew there was an opportunity. We founded the company together. We launched in December 2020. And one of the very first things that we did is a friend of mine happened to know Phil, sent Phil some product, and Phil was winning money with it and enjoying it. So Phil reached out to us. We hopped on a Zoom call. And we were nervous we were going to have to negotiate with Phil and like how to get him involved because you don't want to negotiate with Phil.
Right.
But fortunately, he was all in. We were super excited about it. He loves the product. He drinks it every time he plays. And he's been great just putting our brand on his back. We didn't even know at that point that High Stakes Duel was going to be featuring him like all year against these great opponents, especially as you know, Tom Dwan coming up on Wednesday is going to be spectacular.
Yes.
So Phil's been great. Jonathan, you mentioned, has done a weekly video series called A Little Brain Fuel. Jonathan just adds so much value to his following, and I'm sure most people know about poker coaching, but definitely check out Jonathan, and he's been great for us as well. And now Jeff Gross has come on board to complete the poker trio. So we've loved our experience. We're in the poker space. We think it's a great product for poker players, as you know, need to be energized for long periods of time and really focused. It's the little things, right? It's the attention to detail. And you know that better than I do. I'm not the best player, but it's been a lot of fun to be part of the poker space and really be adopted and be welcomed in. So we're hoping that we can continue to grow with the space.
Absolutely. I mean, now it seems like you've carved your niche as poker's elite sports drink, or just elite focus drink. And I mean, when you're talking about long tournaments like this, maintaining that focus over a long period of time, as I'm sure Matt and all the other players that we've talked to today, it's critical. If you make one mistake, it could be your tournament life. And everybody's always looking for that sort of edge, and this is a nice natural way to do it. And it probably tastes pretty good too. I'm very excited. I definitely want some because I haven't tried it yet, but Colton, I'm very excited to try some Brain Fuel for sure. And tell us a little bit, like you said, you and I are pretty close in age. You're 22. You just got out of college. What are you excited about, particularly with more college players entering the game of poker?
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I think it's a great opportunity for poker to expand into a new generation. And just seeing what World College Poker has done to really usher that in has been tremendous. And for us as a brand that, like I mentioned, was really developed for college students and also by college students, much of our team is around our age group, Alec, as well. So these are two of our hotspots, so to speak, college students and poker players. So to see this intersection at WCP and that's really where we want to fit in and where we think we can add a lot of value. And, as you know, Alec, and as all the college people listening to this know, being a college student, it means juggling a lot.
Oh, yeah.
You have your curricular stuff, you have your extracurriculars, you have your social life, you have your fitness and your health. And to tie it all together, you've got to be on the top of your game all day long. These are long days for college kids. So that's really what this was created for. I've experienced that firsthand trying to launch the company while finishing college, and drinking Brain Fuel every day is what's gotten me through it. So I'm excited to send some to you, Alec, and hopefully a lot of the other young people and college students and poker players listening to this will get a chance to try it out as well and see if it can help them.
Absolutely. I'm very excited for that. And where can people get them? What stores can you get Brain Fuel in?
Yeah, so for right now, as of today, online. And here's an example of one of the flavors is Fruit Punch. We actually have really slick new branding that we just released. If you check out our website, I just don't have any handy with me because I'm traveling right now, but check out our website for the new versions of all 4 flavors: Fruit Punch, Citrus, Mixed Berry, and our best-selling Phil Hellmuth's favorite, Peach Mango. It's absolutely killer.
Yes.
We will be, as of Labor Day, in 3,000 CVS stores around the country. So please definitely check that out. It's for a limited window, September and October only. There's only a small amount of bottles per store, so make sure to go in and grab them before they're all cleared out, which we're hoping will be quick. But yeah, definitely check them out online. There's a WCP discount code for 15% off. It's just WCP. And yeah, so definitely go ahead and check it out. And if you want to let us know, just hit us up in the DMs. If you want to be an ambassador on your campus or something like that, we're happy to talk about that as well. So we're just very excited to be partnered with World College Poker.
That's awesome, Colton. WCP, get 15% off. It tastes great. you can get that extra little boost that you need to do whatever you need to do in college. Colton, man, thank you so much for joining us. Great talking with you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great time today.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And gentlemen, what again, another example of somebody young that found his way into not only a great drink space, but also into a poker space. And I think filling a really cool gap in our industry with that. And Matt, I know, you've had a lot of success in tournaments where you're maybe sitting at a desk and going 6, 7, 8, 9 plus hours. Talk about how important focus and taking care of yourself, as I know that you're very keen on that, is to winning poker tournaments.
Yeah, I mean it's everything, man. I'm so impressed by these guests. Like,
yeah,
for him to be 22, 23 years old, it's like what a crazy journey. Good for him. Yeah, I guess like to double down on what he's saying behind the science. That's kind of a hack I've been utilizing for a long time. When I first started eating keto-based 2 or 3 years ago, one thing that I found that helped me was caffeine. It would curb the appetite. And a lot of that is what he's speaking to, utilizing the MCT oil and all these other aspects. What it does is it mellows out, or it kind of like extends the caffeine's, I guess, effect on you without the crashes. And so it sounds like he put together a pretty good formula. Like, for me, I'd love to check it out. It sounds like it's a great product. I've just been drinking pre-workout for the better part of a decade.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like, you get into those long grinds, it's like whatever, you can do it naturally. Like, I'm certainly not a big proponent of substance, but I think caffeine is like just it's a neurotropic. It's just like a wonder drug in a lot of ways whenever it comes to mental performance.
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of players, they'll do their best for the first couple of hours of a tournament. Like, a lot of players that I talk with on my podcast or wherever else I talk to poker players, a lot of the big mistakes they make are when they can least afford to make them, like when the blinds are high or when the prizes are near or here. And so that's why it's so important to be able to have the same type of focus and the same acuity, if you will, at the end of a long day as you do at the beginning. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm with Matt. I believe in healthy living, trying to get lots of exercise and eat well and not overeat. I feel like if you get your dinner break, say in a WSOP event, and you decide to go to like a Fat Burger or someplace like that and just pig out, you're going to come back, and I promise you're just not going to be as sharp as you were when you had just maybe had your morning coffee and you're like ready to start the day. Just trying to stay sharp all day is a challenge that all of us face, and one reason why, for me at least, poker is, at least on some level, a real sport.
Yeah, without a doubt, it's the combination that's something people don't think about. You sit at a table and it's like, how do you need stamina? Why would you, you're just sitting there doing nothing. But in reality, in something where you have to be focused and on point, even when you're playing for $1,000 or for $1 million, if you're trying to get the win, it requires you to stay on focus and like you said, taking care of your health and even doing something like that, incorporating. I've tried to incorporate sports drinks and things that are a little healthier when I reach for a Pepsi or a Coke or something like that. Those little things can definitely help along the way. Like we said, very cool.
My heart.
I know, man. I know. I'm trying. We are trying to get better. That's part of the lifestyle choices that we're trying to get better at, man.
Just blew our sponsorship with Coke, by the way.
Oh my God. Dang it.
That's over.
That's
Sorry,
over.
Coke.
Whoops. All right, everybody. Dang it. Well, we're waiting for Tom Wheaton to come on in to another one of our guests from Faded Spade, and I know, Matt, that you work with Tom at Above the Felt too. I know we're going to have too much time to talk about that, but talk about that venture with Tom.
Tom's a go-getter, man.
Yeah.
Tom has a lot of really good entrepreneurial ideas, and he just kind of brings me along for the ride, so to speak. Faded Spade's his baby. Above the Felt was his quarantine project, and it seems like it's going really well. He's doing a lot of the legwork that gives us as ambassadors and poker pros and things of that nature opportunities that we wouldn't otherwise have, or maybe that we would have, but we don't necessarily care to negotiate for. It's just very reasonable to me, like to have representation, even though there isn't a huge market out there for advertisements or bringing people from the outside in. I think that like he does a great job. He's curated a very small team of me, Darren Elias, Jamie Kerstetter, and Chris Moneymaker, and I think he plans to expand. I'm always impressed that he's able to whip things up so quickly. Like, you know, this company's been around for 4 or 5 months, and it wasn't more than a few weeks before we had our first gig.
Which is crazy. I mean, that is especially when you're starting something from the ground up, as I'm sure even a lot of our business owners have said, that takes time, and something like that I think that's definitely a show to Tom's character. And the cards are great too. Those Faded Spade cards are really nice. You use them for Poker Out Loud, right? I think I've saw them on
Poker Out Loud and the Academy. Yeah, absolutely.
The very nice. And on that same point, Tom still seems like he's on his way, stuck in the virtual traffic. But Poker Out Loud with your content, because your site is almost like part training website and part group, and then also you're a content hub in a way for new exciting things around poker. I think Poker Out Loud is one of the most interesting things to come out of that. Tell us about that brainchild and why you decided to do that.
Yeah, that's my baby. That's definitely what separates us, in my opinion. It's not a novel idea. Like, I'm by no means the first person to think of it. I know Negrano did something like this with Poker VTech, or Poker VT rather, like in 2007. And the idea kind of came to me. Run It Once had done an online version of it where they did a 9-handed sit and go, and it was just audio. So whenever it was somebody's turn to speak, their audio would play. And I was like, man, there has to be a better way to do this, like for live, because I was so focused on filling the void in the training community for live content. We just didn't have any. And I ran it by our production team. They're the absolute best. They came up with some of like what you see now. I mean, obviously the first season was a little bit different, but yeah, they're just great. They're so good at being creative about this, finding like unique cinematic shots and making it kind of into a storyline.
Absolutely. It looks beautiful, and I want to talk more about that, but Tom has made his way through the virtual traffic. He's parked his car in the virtual space, and he is now on with us. Tom, can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. Thanks. We were just lauding you and your work at Above the Feld and your amazing Faded Spade cards, but you weren't here to hear it. But I guess we can repeat it for you, Tom. Talk to us a little bit about, I know Matt said that Faded Spade was kind of your quarantine sort of, and all this quarantine brainchild, that you've been working on this for a little bit and that you're a real go-getter. Why did you decide to enter the card space with Faded Spade?
Yeah, 2017, man, and the industry was suffering from really bad card quality. And ever since college, I've been a recreational poker player, turning more into a part-time professional. And like a lot of other college students, it grabbed me, right? It was a big reason for the friendships I made, for lessons I learned that carried me through business and life. And it was just a matter of time to find the right business at the right time to enter the industry. So we created Faded Spade, the new face of cards, now the preferred poker playing cards of the World Poker Tour. And 4 years later, man, we've got a ton of college player customers. It's an important market for us, and just love what World College Poker is doing to try and bring poker more around the college arena and get a lot more people in the game.
Absolutely. I bought the 4-color Run It Up versions for our club, and I really like them. I like having 4-color, even though we play online with 4-color. Something about having them in person is just fun for me. But they were great quality cards, and I know building that relationship with World Poker Tour was super huge. And tell us a little bit about how that sort of launched your company.
So they were looking for a much better poker card product from a radio frequency identification standpoint for their streams and TV productions, which we were able to do, right? And once they wound up on TV on Fox Sports and a bunch of other live streams, and obviously working with awesome people like Matt Berkey, who has a lot of the same passions as I do, and was a college baseball player, college poker player. When that launched, it just kind of put us on the map, right? All of a sudden in the industry, a number of people with influence started supporting the brand. And that led to sales online at fadedspade.com. And it's funny you brought up 4-color because that's the most in demand product we have by the college market, right? The 18 to 35-year-old market. And if you're still in college at 35, good for you. But so yeah, man. So it's been an awesome journey. But again, love what World College Poker is doing. Just happy to support it.
Absolutely, man, and we appreciate you, and I know that it's fun that you're able to be on here with your buddy Matt, and we were talking about Above the Felt, and just he was very appreciative of how quickly you were able to get on things. Yeah, tell us a little bit really quickly about that venture too, and how you got started with Matt.
And so, Matt and I met a few years ago, developed a connection. I think Matt's one of the most highest integrity, greatest poker influencers we have outside the industry and inside the industry. Think the world of him as a friend and also professionally. I wasn't surprised to Matt see involved in supporting World College Poker. But Above the Felt Entertainment was spawned out of something I had just been doing kind of on the side for a few years, helping different professional players in the industry, earn gigs or bookings from corporations outside the industry and also businesses in the industry. So when Faded Spade kind of took off, it was kind of like, well, look, what's next, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that was a little bit of insanity or aggression, right? But now we actually have programs like at Above the Felt. If you're a college student watching this or faculty at a college, Matt, Darren, Jamie, Chris, they can come speak to your college all about the correlation of poker strategy compared to academic strategy, life strategy, business strategy, because so many of those things correlate, right? You think about like when I started in college playing poker, it taught patience. It taught when to balance aggression and patience. It taught persistence, how to overcome failure, bankroll management, all these unbelievable skills that you can learn from 18 to 22 that, believe it or not, can carry you well into when you start your career in your 20s and even as you become more of a leader down the road.
Absolutely, Tom. It's been a pleasure to have you on, and thanks for helping propel the industry forward and legitimizing us not just as a gambler's game, but as a real mind sport and something that should be seen in the eyes of a lot of people. So, Tom, thank you for that and for the fantastic cards too. Those are great.
No
Appreciate
problem,
it.
man. Everybody at the final table is getting a 2-deck set of Faded Spade cards, and then we've got discount code WCP at fadedspade.com for 20% off. Grab them. They're beer proof. They're pizza proof. They're ramen noodle proof.
Yes.
Have a good time, man.
Yes.
Get together with your friends and just enjoy it.
Use them. Use that promo code. Tom, thanks so much, man. Appreciate you.
See you guys. Have fun.
Tom Wheaton from Faded Spade. Again, awesome stuff from him. And good
Very
to talk to him.
cool. Yeah, Alec, I wanted to just say I feel like the landscape for sponsorships and for advertisers entering the poker space is slowly but surely changing. I want to see if Matt agrees with this or not, but I feel like with sports, major sports leagues leading the way and more states allowing sports betting, I feel like it's kind of opening more doors for kind of the American attitude toward gambling and games of skill / luck, kind of where they intersect, to kind of just become more accepted. And I feel like there is slowly but surely becoming less of a stigma around poker from the advertising standpoint. Now, it's not going to happen overnight, but this is something that I'm observing, and I wanted to see if Matt has any thoughts on that as well.
I think you're correct about the industry changing, like the landscape and the acceptance of gambling being more culturally coast to coast. But then again, we're also in very liberal areas, between like California and Las Vegas and whatnot. So it's kind of tough to see like what middle America thinks. And I think the slow adoption of daily fantasy and online poker is kind of reflective of that. But even if that landscape does change, I think the biggest thing this industry lacks is coordination at the top. So it's really difficult for outside marketers to come in and insert themselves and see a financial return in their advertising dollars, because we just wholeheartedly lack any level of coordination, right? There's no NBC covering NFL every Sunday because they have a flagship show, right? Like, we just don't have that. We kind of sort of have that with Poker Go, but that's all behind a paywall. and doesn't really lend itself to being super inviting to advertisers. And the secondary thing is that the market is really segmented. So there's like a hard divide between the casual and the I don't know if you want to call it like a diehard or whatever, like the real
enthusiastic,
educated, the real educated consumer. And of course, the casual outnumbers the educated consumer, maybe 10, maybe 100 to 1. We don't know, but it's very difficult. That group that you want to target, that's much larger, is very, very vast, and it's really difficult to message because each end of that spectrum is so wildly apart. One that doesn't know like what beats what, and then the other side, they have that ignorance is bliss mentality where like they know everything about the game, but the truth is they're like just kind of getting their toes wet.
Right.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because you've got sort of two disparate groups, and it is hard to unify them. I know that in my experiences, doing different types of broadcasting or working for different poker companies, there's always that question of, are we targeting the hardcore fan, like the guy that has a membership on every training site, the premium platinum pass for, and is really just absorbing all of the high level poker strategy that's out there, as opposed to someone who thinks it's fun to watch people gamble on television. So yeah, it's hard to figure out. What do you think is the solution to this? I mean, there is no overall league or channel, or like you say, like Monday Night Football or something. There's no equivalent to that in poker. How do you think there is a way? And if so, what is the way to solve this problem?
I think that the cleanest path forward is that some entity like that forms. And it could be a number of entities that fall under a similar umbrella. But I think that at some point we have to have some level of, I don't even want to say bureaucracy, but like some hierarchy to report to that oversees everything, that unifies rules, that unifies language. Because I think that's like a great example. It's if you look at specifically the NFL and NBA, but just major sports worldwide, they started targeting the female audience because they knew that it was a massive subset that may indirectly come in contact with their product, right? Whether it's through a significant other or they actually just have interest in sport. They really wanted to attribute themselves to that. And what you find is that the messaging during the commentary and the commercials and everything else, it's digestible by both the hardcore and the newbie. Poker's not that way, right? Like you just can't speak in nuance to somebody who isn't years and years into the study. And that's a big problem because when you strip away the nuance, it's very reductive. There's nothing visual there to fill in the gaps, right? So the big element of No Limit Hold'em is having an expert be able to speak in nuanced terms and kind of paint the picture for you of what just happened on something that to the untrained eye just looks like a card falling and two people deciding to bet or not.
Well, that's going to be our mission today, right?
That's
Once
right.
we get this final table started, we have to make it as interesting for the casual fans who might not really know much about the nuance. And I think it is a challenge, being on this side of the action, trying to find the sweet spot, if you will, between not insulting or boring the people that know a lot about poker and not alienating those who are just kind of, oh, what's this? Let me watch a little bit and see if I like it or not. So, yeah, that is always the challenge. And I agree with you, Matt, that unifying the sport, if you will, like with some sort of league, it would probably be one way to solve this problem because, yeah, as it is now, it's kind of like if you had the NFL and also the XFL and the USFL and some other FL to choose from, then, of course, the sport would not be as big as it is now where we really just have the NFL. And then if you're interested in college, there's some pretty interesting college football out there, but there aren't, 7 or 8 or 12 different places to consume your football content on television. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. I completely agree, and like we said, our job here today is with cards down and with 6 players that are battling for what is an EPT package, an incredible package, so many other prizes to try and make it interesting for the lay observer. And before we get started, we got a couple minutes, about 6 minutes before we get this final table started. I want to bring in co-founder of World Couch Poker, who has been our green room host very nicely, just to give a couple final words before this massive big event, worldwide final table. Craig, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Doing good. Craig, I know you wanted to say some thank yous and just some final words before we get started with our historic main event final table.
Can you see me okay?
Not yet. You haven't turned your video on just yet.
Video's on. Let's see. Okay, guys.
Hey, there he is.
Hey, guys. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Clayton. Thank you, Alec. My business partner, Chadwick Pelletier, and I are very proud to host this and work on this project with such great players. Solve Hawaii has been amazing to come on board. I've written for Card Player Magazine for 15 years and very proud of their support, but also played since I was a child. There was cards everywhere, right? My parents played cards. We played games all the time. But I just want to come on for a second and say thank you to Pokerstars. Julian and Antonio over there, our 2 execs that are overseeing us, are very excited about the platform, see the potential for the ongoing participation of these younger players. I interviewed Justin Bonomo, a lot of these players that are superstars today, like Chewy, back before they just won barely anything, right? And they were college players, and like Matt, growing up in the game, and they've turned out to win millions of dollars and be superstars and great ambassadors to the game. I'm looking at my notes here. I wanted to thank these. I'm so lucky to have such great superstars on board like Matt, but also contributing has been Alex Fitzgerald, who's head of Poker Brain Rush. Patrick Antonius, a friend, he was here a few weeks ago in LA. He owns Flop App, co-founder there of Flop App. He was great. His support, Jonathan Little, another great coach like Matt around the world. And John Beaupres from PLO Quick Pro. All those guys have been amazing to support us, right? Clayton, no, I mean, all these guys are superstars of the game. We're very lucky. And I'm lucky to have the brain pool here, right?
Hey, there you go. There you go.
I
I used it at Hollywood Park the other night, but Jello from Next Gen was there in town here in LA, took $100 from me, so I didn't have any white magic.
Apparently not. Darn it.
I had this going on, playing a 5-5 game in Hollywood Park here in LA. But thank you to all our sponsors, especially you 3 guys hosting us. And Alec Rome has been such a great asset to World College Poker since the beginning. As a college student, to have the technical abilities he has and broadcasting talent. Matt called him out on Twitter, I think, after the interview you guys
appreciated that.
We appreciate it. So thanks to all the sponsors. Keep doing a great job for us, and we look forward to do more events with Pokerstars. And have a great final table. I'm excited. Should start right now, right, Alec?
Yep, about to start here momentarily. So we will head over that way. I'll get the feed sent to them. And thanks, Craig, for joining us.
Good luck, guys.
So yes, as we said, as I transition the screen and I get them the feed, we got an interesting final table and a couple things to point out. Our blind levels are 15 minutes. Right now we're at 3K, 6K. But I think the most key thing that we're going to be looking at is we got a short stack Joaquin Minetto from Argentina, who's going to have to shove almost immediately, gentlemen.
Yeah, Joaquin's sitting on 6,977 when the big blind is only 6,000. So, yeah, he doesn't have a lot of time to wait for a premium hand, to say the least. He's got to get going. And it should be the first storyline that we'll be looking at here is, how aggressive he can be and whether he can manage to double up and start contending for this title. We've also got a Korean player who is the prohibitive favorite, I would say, as he has 972,000 in his stack. His name is Jian Changhun. I hope I pronounced it right. I sure tried. And he's got the next highest stack covered by more than double. So that should be interesting as well to see whether he decides to be the big stack bully or whether he takes it more leisurely, like, well, I can wait and see if people bust out and kind of get a feel for the final table first, right off the bat. Matt, generally speaking, what do you think is the correct approach when you have a ton of chips at a final table?
Yeah, generally, ICM is going to play a pretty big factor for the chip leader. I'm trying to figure out the stack distributions, but two of the guys are sitting out, so I'm not sure how many chips they actually have.
Yeah, so I think the two, I'll give you a little thing. We got Polkit. He's sitting at 325K, and JD Yeti is sitting at about 44,000.
Okay, so yeah, J-Jack is in a premier situation here, especially as long as Joe Quinn is still in. Basically, nobody can play a hand until he goes all in and busts.
Yeah, and he's going to have to do that right now, guys, or on the next hand at the latest, because
he can take the next hand. Yeah.
Yeah, he's under the gun. He's all in. So right off the bat, we've got some action here.
To be fair, I'm saying that with regards to normal ICM, it's difficult to measure the payout structure when it's prizes rather than cash.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So it kind of impacts things a little bit.
Oh, it certainly does, and especially in this situation where the first place prize includes a buy-in to a real live European Poker Tour event put on by Pokerstars, a whole package where you get to buy in, you get to go play, you get to go to another country and do the whole thing, and also a one-on-one match with the great Patrick Antonius. So, I mean, that's what these players are really hoping to win today. As we look at JD Yeti, who is our English player, James Yeatman, who appears to not yet be connected to the server, so hopefully he can get his Wi-Fi.
Got to show up on time, man. Got to show up on time. We've heard these stories about people showing up an hour and a half late for a televised bracelet event. Can't be doing that. Can't be doing that with, it's not exactly the same, but there is a lot on the line today, as you mentioned.
Yeah. I mean, that does kind of make it a little bit more of a winner-take-all type of approach, I think, since first place is such a massive prize. So that does take out the legs a little bit from the chip leader. Like, you still want to be in that position, but you don't have quite as much pressure that you can apply to everybody else. They're still going to play their good hands.
Right. They really want to get that first place prize, which I think should make this a more interesting final table. I don't personally enjoy watching people try to ladder up, as we say. It feels to me like Pulkeet should be calling or raising with any two, and he does. He makes it 24K here, trying to isolate that all-in under the gun bet, and so we have an ace-9 versus a 10-9.
That'll be it.
Oh, well, he did have a few outs on the end, but we are now down to 5 players as our short stack, Joaquin Moneto from Argentina, has busted out in 6th place. Alec, what's the prize for 6th place in this tournament?
Yeah, so Joaquin actually ended up making it. I mean, he was able to make it to this final table because of somebody else not paying attention to that ICM and realizing that he needed to go out first. And for that, he gets a PokerStars swag bag. He's got a solve for YTV all-in access pass. Thanks to Matt, which is $600 value. He's got a $300 hotel savings card, Brain Fuel, Poker Go. He gets those Faded Spade cards, lots of other things, even a Card Player magazine thing. We've got an annual membership to World College Poker. And Poker Bankroll Tracker, you got a 1-year free subscription, which we'll talk to Steven shortly here at about 12:30 Central, 1:30 Eastern, very quickly about that fantastic app. Lots of great prizes for everybody, but that's what Joaquin got in 6th.
All right, and here we have an under-the-gun raise from Gabriel Rielman from Argentina, and a re-raise from the small blind. So there's your chip leader being aggressive early and gets the fold.
And this is what you should see with a sub-10 big blind stacked. So JD has less than 10 big blinds. He actually has like 5.5 at this point. Again, nobody really gets to play a hand. So Gabby kind of sticking his neck out on the line. If we're looking at more of a traditional ICM laddering situation, he's just going to get played back at or have to defend versus J-Jack almost all.
Yeah, so for anyone out there who may not know, ICM stands for Independent Chip Model, which basically means that the chips you have remaining are worth a certain dollar amount in a typical tournament with cash prizes. As we see an all-in, a coin flip, ace-8 versus 5s.
Ooh, the 5s hold.
And the 5s hold up in a nice, much-needed double-up for our sole Brit here. But yeah, so typically the value of just surviving is worth considering at a final table because the prizes get better and better as you climb that prize ladder. So that's what Mr. Berkey means when he says ICM. Here we have a blind battle. 2 medium stacks here. And they're going hard. It's a bet and a call here on the flop, a 7 of hearts on the turn. And let's see what Gabriel wants to bet it again. Feels like a give up. What do you think, Matt?
He should be mostly checking on the turn after stabbing the flop. Pocket is going to have the 3 advantage. So even though Gabby's probably limping a lot of good hands along with some trashy hands, once he does bet and get called, now he's either going to be against a 9, a 3, or a draw. And he's going to have to give up a big chunk of the hands that he saw flop with.
Absolutely. As we see Pokeet from India take that pot down and kind of get himself a little closer to second place. Right now it's a battle. It's a battle for second place at the moment. But, you know, with these blinds and antes being as big as they are, this could turn around rather quickly. I mean, we've seen it time and time again with so many final tables over the many years we've been in this game. Just because someone has the chip lead with 5 to go, don't count on the trip to Europe just yet, because a lot can happen between now and then.
He does have a lot of chips, though.
He does.
He does.
He has like pretty close to half the chips in play, correct?
Yeah, he's got about half.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good position to be in with 5 left. But sure, anything can happen. Obviously, blinds escalate, stack depth decreases. There isn't a whole lot of playability once things get up and moving. And then at some point they'll be shorthanded as well, which is going to really increase the pace of the action.
Yeah, and the variance shorthanded. What would normally be a fold becomes a very good hand when you're heads up or 3-handed. What I really like to see is in the chat, we see a lot of good luck. Sorry I was late. I had connection problems. The patter, the banter that we're seeing in the chat is incredibly civil right now. And I always like to see good sportsmanship, especially among younger players. It's very nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Rage Ace under the gun, and that is Ashutosh Balaprasad from India. I hope I'm getting these names.
Ashutosh has got some fans in the chat, Clayton. And I've seen a lot of fans of Ashutosh in the chat. Might be the fan favorite. Unfortunately, in 4th out of 5 right now, got work to do.
Yeah, and you know the game obviously in that country in India is growing very rapidly, as evidenced by just the sheer number of players from India that entered this tournament in the first place. It's obviously really taking hold over there. That might be the next hotbed of poker before too long. Heads up here between James and Gabriel.
A pretty large C-bet.
Good size bet, but
this are a
still
little
called.
tricky. Yeah, board textures like this are a little bit tricky, especially against a button defender. There's just like a lot of middle cards that can come that are pretty difficult for the original raiser.
Like the 6 right there. Yeah.
Yeah, that 6 is probably not the card. I misspoke a moment ago. Of course, that's Gian, our chip leader. James is next to him.
Yeah, on textures like this, out of position does a fair amount of checking and some big betting. Coming with the 50% size, it can present some awkward dynamics. And now we have a pretty big pot.
A pretty money card here on the end, the Jack of Spades.
Wow.
That goes check, and a pair of fours is going to take it down. Matt, are you surprised that Gabriel chose not to bluff that river?
Well, I don't know what he had, so it's difficult for me to say. He may have had like an ace-high type of hand that probably doesn't want to bluff when the spade comes, especially if he had like backdoor, was it hearts? Yeah, those hands aren't really going to convert to bluffs. J-Jack actually had a hand that if it had taken a different line, would have been bluffing that river. So he had a hand that by all accounts, should check the flop.
Mhm.
It has bottom pair. It blocks the nut flush draw. It blocks backdoors. And it has a strong backdoor property, which is nice. And had he taken a more passive approach of checking flop, he may have found himself in the situation to be big betting that river. Fortunately for him, he didn't need to do that. He was against a worse showdown value hand, maybe deuces, maybe threes, maybe ace high with backdoor hearts.
There's that high level analysis that we've come to expect from Mr. Berkey, giving me some insight into why I can never win a pot against him when we do battle online. So we're still down to 5 here. This is the main event of the World College Poker, and I like cards down. I know a lot of commentators prefer to be able to see what everyone has, but I think it's kind of more fun to look at trying to figure out what they have. Little mystery is alluring to me.
I don't mind in these scenarios. When I covered the heads-up match between Landon and Perkins, cards down was very challenging.
Yeah, I would imagine.
It's just tens of thousands of hands of like the same spot over and over again, where you're just guessing.
Yeah, there's only so much you can say in that situation.
Yeah.
I think we're actually going to have Landon on later, and maybe he can talk a little bit about that match or what else he's been up to. But yeah, that was a very well publicized match that I believe didn't go to completion between Landon Tice and Bill Perkins. A heads-up challenge that ended up being negotiated, I guess.
Yeah. This is a board again where we're going to see the equities of the ranges kind of run really close together. J-Jack does go with a smaller bet size here, which makes a fair amount of sense. Pretty dynamic card on the turn. Should see a bunch of checking here. Maybe.
Yeah, that 9 of spades pairing the board, but also bringing the flush. If anyone has spades in his hand. Another bet call here, and the 10 of diamonds on the river.
Small size.
Well, the cards are doing their part.
Yeah, small size on the turn there by J-Jack is interesting. It seems to be like a supplemental bet in lieu of checking. Makes me think he probably had equity that he didn't want to check call with. Perhaps a queen-jack type of hand.
Or maybe even a 5.
Now slam it at home here.
Yeah, big bet here on the river. Which is typically a polarized bet, right?
3/4 pot doesn't necessarily have to be, but for the spot in the tournament, yeah, I think we would consider this to be a little bit more polarizing. Obviously, his value can just be a 9, queen jack, any spades. I don't think he could really do this with ace king. That's probably too thin. And then his bluffs would want to come from like his 5x hands. So specifically, if he has like ace 5 with the ace of spades, that would be a really good hand to choose. A hand like 10-8 would be okay, but you'd probably rather have a hand like jack 10 with the jack of spades. Really, you want to have like a pair and a spade whenever you're choosing your bluffs in this situation. Prevent your opponent from having more losses. It's just a little bit tricky because a lot of the pairs on the board are kind of just like if you have a king or a 10, you have pretty high showdown value. So you just win a lot through checking.
Wow.
That makes sense.
The flush, and he got called. We don't get to see what Gabriel had, but suffice to say that he probably had a pretty strong hand to make that call, and he did take his time in making it, but unfortunately, he got the bad news that he was up against the jack-high flush, and that really hurts his stack and is great news for Polkit, who is now in second place with 5 players left.
Yeah, he almost certainly had a hand like king queen, king 10. Possibly he had a 9 or a smaller flush, but those both seem pretty unlikely.
So now, not only John getting 3 streets, and that small bet somehow kept Gabby around on the turn, but now complete stranglehold on the table with over 1.1 million.
Yeah, he's in a very good position to take this whole thing down.
Yeah, he's reminding me of Joe Meehan at that at that final table where he just had every chip basically when it started and never really gave it up. Here's an all-in on the button here from our UK player, James Yeatman. He's all in, and it gets through. really significant stack. I mean, win for his small stack. It's nice to be able to stay alive when you're on life support. So James is still with us, guys. So early on here, Matt, I think that Gianna is taking the approach of, kind of playing a lot of hands. I have the chip lead. I'm not going to sit back on it. I'm going to grab the bull by the horns and try to put everyone to decisions early, just based on a few of the hands that he's shown down early. So that might make his opponents want to be a little bit more aggressive against him, don't you think?
Yeah, especially in essentially a winner-take-all format. He's playing very wide ranges as he's incentivized to. He wants to pick up blinds and antes. He wants to pressure these stacks to play back against them. It'd be interesting to see what Gabby has been flatting on the button. There's a chance that they were just like pretty good hands, and perhaps he should have played a little bit more aggressively before the flop. It's just challenging because, again, it's difficult to calculate what the best strategies are when you don't have a model to follow. And that's kind of like what's nice about ICM is when we have a standard payout structure, we can kind of actually apply a dollar amount to the chip stacks and the distributions and such and know what our incentives are. But in like a semi winner take all, but we still get compensated for the other places type of thing, it's like you're kind of in satellite mode, but kind of just playing your hands accordingly, I think. That's probably the best approach that everybody could take, is just make the decision that yields you the most chips throughout the long run.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah, you don't want to be ignoring ICM in these spots, but this tournament is really about getting that EPT prize package and the heads up match versus Patrick Antonius, and all the other prizes, with our generous sponsors have donated, including yourself, by the way, Matt. I mean, are excellent prizes. But because when you get first, you also get those prizes, you really want to go for the gold here, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
See, now Matt might be saying maybe go for silver because he's got that 3-day trip to Las Vegas for second place at the Solve for Y Academy, round trip airfare, all that. Silver's not bad either. Heads up. That's pretty great. That's pretty good,
Yeah, for sure. I would take it. Who doesn't want to go to Las Vegas and learn from the best? I mean,
right.
Of course.
You guys are making me blush.
Action card here on the turn gets raised a bet, and then basically a min raise here by Rage Ace, who's again Ashutosh from India, and gets called. Now the spade on the river. The cards are definitely cooperating with us, guys. A lot of interesting river cards today. Does he continue here on the end, or is he going to play it safe?
That's an interesting size.
He basically had a pot size bet behind, and he only bet half of it here on the end.
Well, I think it kind of makes sense. The board texture changed again, so we had a one line straight on the turn, and then the flush fills. So generally speaking, ranges are going to shape shift a little bit, and everybody's going to be kind of left with middle strength hands to some degree. So oftentimes you do reduce your bet sizing there, but it's kind of fascinating with the turn raise to have a follow through on that card.
I was a little surprised by that myself. Of course, not knowing exactly what they have, we just kind of have to evaluate their ranges, and that's not the same as knowing exactly what two cards each of these guys is playing. As we see another half pot bet here on the flop in this blind battle, same two players, and Pulkeet gets a few chips back. That was some India on India violence in the last two hands.
Make sure, folks, if you're in the Solve for Y chat, let us know who you're rooting for. That's still at the table. Put it in the chat. We'd love to hear from you.
Well, a 3-bet from the big blind here from our chip leader. Let's see what Pulkeet decides to do. Pretty sizable re-raise, and he's just got to fold. Now, part of the game is trying to steal the blinds when you're in late position. I'm not sure I would recommend trying to steal the blinds of the player who has almost all the chips, but you do have to mix it in at least some of the time.
I mean, you got to battle. This guy's not going anywhere. He's going to be the force that you have to kind of go through. And for Pulkeet and even to some degree Gabby, if they double through, it really does level the playing field pretty quickly.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if Pulkeet can manage to double through here and have over 700, then it sort of becomes anyone's game in a way that it isn't at the moment, where it feels like J-Jack is just kind of running away with it. But yeah, as our blinds are going to be increasing in about 7 minutes, some of these stacks that are medium are going to feel a lot smaller. Here we have an all-in King 6 versus Ace Deuce.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
And now we're down to 4, guys. So, JD Yeti, yeah, that's James Yeatman from the UK, finishes in 5th place. And Alec, why don't you tell us what he gets to take home for his 5th place finish?
Again, a lot of the same things that 6th place got, including that swag bag, that pass for Solve for YTV, getting that $500 hotel savings card from PLO Quick Pro. Very excited about that. Got PokerCoaching.com free membership as well. Brain Fuel from Colton, including Brain Fuel hoodie and hat. Poker Go membership, which is a great timing because of that Tom Dwan Phil Hellmuth heads up. Book from Bill Perkins, Run Good Gear certificate, all of that and more.
Not bad for a $0 buy-in.
Pretty good, yeah.
In my opinion. Yeah, I love a good free roll. Who doesn't? Pulkeet fires 14,000 into the 35K pot. And Gabby, who's getting pretty short here, makes the call. 8 of diamonds on the turn, checks. We're going to do another barrel here. Yes, we are. 28K, almost half the pot. And the 7 of spades. Oh, pair of 9s. He had top pair with the king kicker, and that's going to take it down. Really leveling the playing field among the runners up at the moment. A defend here from Pulkeet, and he checks over to the razor, as he probably will on just about every single flop.
We could see some big bets come through here. Something in the neighborhood of 25, 26K. He chooses to go very small. It's also very good. Very good card for in position. Pulkeet will have a lot of give ups now with his 9-8, 9-7s, his 5x. Goes with the overbet. Strong.
Yeah, that's a really nice play there by Gian J-Jack. Yeah, like as you pointed out, Matt, that other overcard to a lot of the pairs that Pulkeet will have there, they just can't handle the pressure anymore. Not with stacks being what they are, you just kind of have to give up and say, well, you know, if I'm not beat, it's sometimes you're just supposed to get bluffed. And that was just a terrible card for his range.
Overbet was curious. It's not really a board where we're going to be doing a lot of overbetting. Out of position probably shares Jack 10 with in position. They have the same amount of it. Sure, in position has a little bit more king queen in sets, but you kind of want to eke out value those hands versus like the 9-10s, the Jack 9s, the Queen Jacks, and set things of that nature. Hands that have to fold to an overbet.
Yeah, so in other words, when no one has the nuts advantage, the overbet is usually not the play.
Correct. Yeah. Or if you only have slight nut advantage, but the equities are still relatively close. And he doesn't have a ton of bluffs there, right? I mean, maybe he does. Maybe he's just reaching, right? He might have a hand like 3-4. And he's just saying, like,
yeah, he could. Yeah, why not? I have all the chips. I might as well use them, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Improper construction, though. He wouldn't have a lot of bluffs there. There aren't a lot of like naked 10x, naked jack x that he would want to be utilizing.
Sure. Well, bet and call on the river. And Alec, what happened? I didn't even see. It happened too fast for me.
I would say I was.
Bet flop, check, turn, and then J-Jack bluffed river with what we assume was nothing. Or maybe it showed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so a nice pot for Rage Ace then. That works out for him. And he really needed one because he was, just a moment ago, our short stack by a mile. And now he's kind of right in the mix as he does battle once again. And of course, when there's only 4 players left at the final table, there's really nowhere to hide. You do have to get in there, as Matt pointed out, and do battle. This chip leader isn't going anywhere unless we knock him down a little bit. So we're going to see if Ashutosh can do that. Another nice pot for him. Rage Ace. That's easy for me to say. Is Ashutosh Balaprasad Karwa from India. So with our final 4 players, 2 of them from India. 1 from Korea, that's our chip leader. J-Jack is Jian Changhun. And of course, Gabrielle Rielman from Argentina. As you mentioned in the pregame, Alec, we had quite a few Americans enter this event,
yes,
but none made the final table. So that kind of speaks to how the rest of the world is just as into poker as we are here in the States, right?
Yes, I was among the Americans that did not make the final table. And I thought I played pretty well, and I had kings, jammed it all in, and of course the only hand that you could see that's better than that is aces, right? So and that is poker. That's the lovely game that we play. Whether it's it's fun, but sometimes it is painful. Can't deny that.
What do you mean? I always enjoy running my kings into aces.
Right.
It's a great time.
Who doesn't, Oh my gosh, so fun.
Now, Alec, do you have the stats on how many players worldwide entered this event in the first place?
I think we're looking in the 12 to 1,300 range, I want to say. I'd have to go look to be sure. Which, I mean, that's still a pretty big field to fade, and we're hoping to even increase that more on the next event.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there were a lot of requirements to enter this event. You had to prove that you were in college. Like, there were a lot of we didn't want this to be anything but college students playing.
Right.
And I think that Pokerstars and World College Poker did a great job of sort of, overseeing that and regulating it and making sure that no bots
or people that just wanted to sneak into the free roll, which, I mean, I guess that's a credit to us for making a good free roll, but they still wanted to get in.
Yeah. And Gabby takes that one down as we see the blinds going up here to 4-8 with a 1K ante per player, 16,000 in the middle. Min raise on the button from Gabby. I like that username, by the way, Rage Ace. I like it. It's got a little anger to it. Little zest.
A little zest.
Ace King 7 with 2 clubs. Pretty wet board here, and a continuation bet from Gabby. Should probably take this down a lot, I would think.
Yeah. Rage will have to continue with all of his pairs, of course, but he doesn't really have many strong draws outside of club draws. Maybe a couple of gut shots, but they struggle a little bit after the flop.
For sure, and especially with these stacks, you can't really be speculating too much. Every single decision is costing you a big portion, a big percentage of your remaining chips. So you've got to be decisive, yet careful. Pick the right spot and commit to it.
So Polkit passed on betting flop. We see a lot of small bets come through on these monotone boards, especially against the big blind defense. They kind of have to fold everything that was suited not to clubs, which is going to be a large chunk of their range. He just delayed his c-bet to the turn, which was a very favorable card for his range, so that obviously worked well.
Yeah, if his range didn't like the flop, it has to like the turn, and at that point, there's no reason not to bet. Our chip leader just has to give up so much with so much of his range. I want to see one of these guys double up and make it a match, you know what I mean?
So while we have a moment here, I do want to bring in, as we said before, Stephen Fiddler from Poker Bankroll Tracker. We're going to bring him in now. Stephen, can you hear me? That's right. He's, like I said, the traffic in the virtual streets just terrible today on a Saturday.
Parallel parking, you know,
Terrible,
it's very
I know.
difficult.
Gosh. We'll get him in here shortly while we have another heads-up affair. Kind of a good range for a big blind defend when we say 7-6 deuce. Not bad.
Yeah. A lot less betting here out of J-Jack. He goes for the large size. That's kind of indicative of what happens whenever we're mostly checking. I don't think this board is that dynamic, though. Probably would be utilizing a little bit more of 40% in checks.
Looks like we have Steven now, Alec.
Yeah, video's off saying I'm hearing Steven. There he is. Yeah. Hey, Steven.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Doing good. How you been?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, we just want to bring you on shortly. You're one of our many great sponsors, and I know a lot of players use your Poker Bankroll Tracker. And tell us a little bit about some of the main features of the app.
Yeah, some of the main features. Main features for sure track your poker sessions, track your winnings, track your losses. It is key to be a successful poker player, solid bankroll management. So you need to know your winnings, your losses, and we have many features. We have a tournament calendar, we have an odds calculator, we have a hand replayer. You can insert hands you play live and share it with your friends. Yeah, you can connect with your friends and they can follow your sessions. So yeah, we have a lot of features.
Very cool. And where can we find Poker Bankroll Tracker, Steven?
In the Play Store, in the Google Play Store, and then the Apple App Store. It's the app is for free. We have a free basic version, and I think for most players it's enough to use a free version. The Pro membership gives you a few benefits, but when you just want to keep track your results, the free version is totally fine.
Absolutely. Great app. Got to have it. Keep track of your bankroll. So important to your success in poker. Steven, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Steven has made a great app there with Poker Bankroll Tracker, and appreciate him coming on. And now back to our action.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of bloodshed while we were chatting there with Steven, but we're still at a four-handed final table as we see the double paired board, 8s and 4s, and now the tray of clubs on the river. Really the first non-action river card of the whole day, really. Small bet here, min bet. And King High wins the pot. Wow.
That's a really good bet.
Yeah, it's a nice value play there. And then a walk for Gabby on the very next hand. He's got to love that. So our Argentinian player, Gabriel Reilman, has sort of distanced himself a bit from the other two contenders. but no one is even within spitting distance of J-Jack, who has just been dominating for, since as long as I can remember. Before we were down to 6, this guy has just had all the chips, and things have continued to go well for him today at this final table. We see the first 3-handed pot I can remember. Both blinds versus the chip leader. 9-9-4 on the flop. Feels like a C bet, even though he has 2 opponents, right, Matt?
I think checking back is pretty reasonable. Polkit should have a fair amount of pocket.
Lost Matt momentarily. I believe he's saying have a fair amount of pocket pairs.
Yeah, which is pretty good hand reading there in my opinion, because he's got the he's calling from out of the small blind, so he should have a stronger hand than he would need, obviously, to call out of the big blind. So yeah, it does make sense that his range would include a lot of small to medium pairs. Yeah, we lost your feed for a second, Matt, but it looks like you're back now.
Yeah, I think the only thing is that J-Jack has such a chip advantage, he probably could make a small C-bet there without giving much up.
Mm-hmm.
He probably just had a hand that he wanted to see rivers with as much as possible, like ace-queen, ace-10, something like that.
Sure, with a hand like that, it's hard to get those pairs to fold, and it's hard to get called by worse as well, so just check and see. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think more importantly, you just don't want to get check raised. And
oh, yeah.
A lot of those pairs should be a little more willing to play aggressively. But also, we shouldn't really see a lot of calling out of the small blind 4-handed.
You mean pre-flop, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's difficult to kind of pin down what hands are choosing to do that.
Yeah, could you just elaborate on that? I think a lot of the viewers would be interested to hear your thoughts on why 4-handed calling from the small blind is generally not advised.
The main thing is it's not especially because it's 4-handed. It's more so especially because of the chip distribution. J-Jack's just gonna be wider pretty much from every spot. So in situations where Polkit is in the small blind, J-Jack's opening the cutoff. In general, he should probably have like 30% of his range, but he might be closer to like 50%. So now a lot of the hands that we may be incentivized to call to see flops, like small pairs, suited aces, some suited broadways, or even offsuit broadways, they just play better as 3-bets because he has to fold so much more frequently. Now, again, in a more traditional ICM scenario, you might do a little bit more calling because of the stack distributions, but you would mostly just be doing so in a way of kind of like trapping / protecting your range because you don't get the 3-bet very aggressively.
Such a treat to be able to get inside the mind. Matt Berkey, he really sees the game from all different angles, which is really a testament to the work you've done, Matt, in kind of second guessing, or maybe not second guessing, but being able to take a critical look at kind of the conventional wisdom that has been out there since the beginning of time with regard to no limit hold'em strategies, especially in tournaments. Just being able to hear your thoughts on what we should be thinking or doing and why is it's a treat for me. And I think it's a treat for the viewers as well.
Absolutely.
I see Alec taking notes up there.
Yeah, it's funny too because I was going to mention that I think Matt very easily illustrates the need for thinking outside the box because I played a live tournament in Council Bluffs and I was shocked at what some of the conventional wisdom players were laying down to me, assuming that I had it. I had 2 people lay down ace king and ace queen to me pre-flop just because I 3-bet. I don't know why. I don't know why you think that I have to have it every time that I do that, but I'll take it. I'll scoop. That's fine. And I think those people would definitely benefit from one of Matt's many upcoming coaching camps and solve for YTV and all those things to get out of their conventional thinking that because somebody raises, they've got to have you beat.
I recently had Katie Stone as a guest on my podcast, which is called Tournament Poker Edge, and she was singing Matt's praises as well about the Solve for Y Academy and how much she learned from being there where they do everything live and they really get pretty deep into the analysis. So as we see another big bet on the river, I'm detecting a pattern here. Our chip leader likes to go big or go home. He's betting this ace of hearts. Like, he's getting check raised all in by Polkeet Goyal. Is this ever not the nuts?
Yeah, for sure. He'll have hands like Jack 9, Queen 9 that will serve him very well as bluffs. The thing is, though, that he chose to check the river. So, well, no, I guess that does make sense. Queen High isn't going to like bluff in any other capacity. So that makes some sense to me. It's very astute of him if he does check the Queen Jack in that spot, because the ace is a heavily bet or bluffed card by J-Jack. And given that it's a button opening range, he's not as tight as he would be in like a 9-handed game where he opened under the gun, and we just know he has ace king a lot or something along those lines. So you do get the bluff
For sure.
a little bit more liberally as Polkeet there, so long as you have like good blocking properties.
I mean, I just think the check raise bluff on the river is one of the most underutilized and sexiest plays in poker. I just love to see it. I don't know what he had. I'm assuming it was probably a very strong hand, but if that was a bluff, I just, so much respect for Polkeet being able to do that against our chip leader with 4 left in the tournament. Pretty strong either way.
It's particularly hard to pull off because you have to, like, in order to check, it's rare that you'll have nothing, right? Like, you're not going to have 5 high and get to the river and then check because you had no chance of winning the pot unimproved. So, like, oftentimes it'll be hands that have showdown value, like Jack 10 in that spot, where it's like, oh, my 10's probably good here some of the time. And then you face a bet and it's like, well, I can't call with this hand because I'm just losing versus all his value and I block his bluffs now. So I'll just bluff. If he does have a bluff, he's going to fold. And if he has some of his value, he's still going to fold.
Yeah, because it's just so strong. But yeah, having that blocker, like you say, a Jack 10, Jack 9, those are the hands you want to have when you do go for the check raise bluff there. As we see another pretty wet board here, guys. 10, 9, 6, 8 with 3 spades.
Has to be a bet here, right? Has to be. If you're going to, if it gets checked over to you, getting the lead back. That checks it back. That's interesting. What do you think Gabrielle has here, Matt, checking that back on the turn when it's kind of a gin card? Potentially. Yeah. It's blind on blind, but.
Yeah, but very certainly showdown value. He could have a 6, he could have an 8, he could have a 10. Some 9x too. I would imagine he's going to bet anything that needs protection. So if he has a hand like 10-9, if he had a hand like 8-9, any 7x, all of those hands will bet. That's a hand.
Wow. How about the flush? Boy, oh boy.
Man, oh man. When you run good, you run good. Huh.
He fooled me, guys. Wow. Okay, so J-Jack does nothing but increase his lead here as we see another blind battle in the next hand. Wow. He's just really pulling away. He was already pretty far away, and now he's just like in another time zone at this point against the 3 remaining opponents. Will anyone challenge J-Jack for the title? A pretty good flop for the Queen Jack of Spades there.
Yeah.
In the last hand. Yeah.
You love to see it.
J-Jack with the raise under the gun, keeping that pressure on, playing a lot of hands. And why not? Everything's going my way and I have all the chips.
Yeah, Ray Jace and Gabby are in pretty lucrative reshove spots. So they'll just be looking for spots where J-Jack opens and just jamming all in for their 15 to 18 blinds effective. Polkit is in a little bit of a tricky dynamic. He's going to have to go post-flop versus the chip leader, and he's going to have to be willing to play a 50 big blind pot at some point. Potentially, anyway. Interesting that he chose the larger raise size. There's really no incentive for that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, Matt. It's really the first non-min raise we've seen in quite a while at this table, and he
Yeah.
does it again here, going for the 25 rather than the 20. I would like
Could be a
to know.
strategy. Yeah, could be something he's building into his strategy. A little extra volatility, attempting to play more all-in pots. Conventional wisdom, or I guess conventional theory, dictates that you want to put in the minimum amount of chips and keep SPR as deep as possible, so stack to pot ratio. Basically, you don't want to build too large of a pot pre-flop when you have these middle stacks, because then you have no maneuverability after the flop. And you also don't want to put yourself in a weird pricing situation where you have a middle strength hand and committed a bunch of chips but can't be all in.
This feels like a potential crucial pot here, as Polkeet is making his bid to challenge our chip leader and pull away from the other two short stacks at the table. What happens here on the flop?
He'll have a lot of continues on this board. It's a very astute bet by J-Jack. It's tough not knowing what his hand is. So it's like if you see him with 3-4 there when he pots, it's like, this is a little crazy. But if he has hands like Queen Jack there, Ace Jack might be a little aggressive, but there are hands.
There's that
spot.
There's that 3-bet shove you were just talking about, and it comes in, and J-Jack can't call. So he opened 3x, got shoved by the big blind, and had to fold. So that might really support the argument of why not just min raise? Then you lose less when you get shoved on, especially if you cannot call.
Yeah. Yeah, there's really no incentive for him to do anything different. Even blind versus blind, given the stack depths what they are, he should mostly be like limping and 2.5xing. There's really no need to put in the extra chips, because your opponent's always responding with shoves and folds. Very, very little calling coming out of Gabby's stack. Not little calling, but like it's the path of highest resistance for him. So you just live with the fact when he calls.
Yeah. And nowadays, a lot of players don't make that many mistakes with 14 or 15 big blinds. Like, most people have a pretty good handle, at least, on how to play a stack of that size. Although, from what Alex said, maybe not so much in Council Bluffs.
Yeah. Very true.
Hot call again. Not a lot of incentive as the second in chips to be going post-flop out of position.
Yeah, we see that small blind flat again from Polkeet, which, without knowing what the cards are, but even so, as you pointed out, Matt, it's mostly a 3-bet or fold situation, especially.
You just have to understand J-Jack's strategy, right? His cards don't really matter that much. He's just going to get to bet various sizes on all board textures, and when you're calling middle strength hands, like say 5s or 6s or 7s in that spot, you're just in no man's land after the flop. You're going to be forced to, like, outside of the small percentage of the times that you make sets, you're just going to be forced to, like, bluff catch multiple streets with a very weak hand.
Hey, while we've got him, it's the aforementioned Landon Tice has made it through parked. He's parked his car as well, parallel parked it, and has joined us now.
He doesn't have a license.
Oh my God, Landon, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hello.
How you doing, man? I appreciate you being on. I know you know one of our people in the room here, and I know that you wanted to be on with us today. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, of course.
Hello,
So
young man.
One of the things I was just watching last night, I was watching a Poker Out Loud, it was one of your episodes, and then you were advertising one on Solve for Why, and you two were playing against each other, and you were both like, "Oh, he just thinks I'm an effing maniac," or something like that. Just this banter between you two. Landon, talk to me a little bit about how the relationship between you and Matt got built to where you are right now.
Actually, yeah. I remember the first conversation we probably had was around, there was like a Poker After Dark episode of like Rob Young's home game, and Rick was kind of like just sleeper straddling for like infinite. And like I was kind of confused on like why people weren't kind of attacking it more aggressively. But Matt gave some answers, and I had some questions, and that was a pretty good conversation. and then I somehow came out to Vegas for the online World Series about a year and a half ago. And after my Airbnb rental with some friends, I didn't really know where I was going to stay. And then found a place at the office, at like the software office, to where I kind of crashed for a couple months. And here we are.
Now he's been adopted.
Yeah.
That's right. And just talk to us a little bit, Matt, about just what you've witnessed in Landon's growth over the last year or so that you two have known each other.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a testament to what hard work and dedication to a clear objective looks like. He's still getting his feet wet in a lot of the live arenas and everything else, but the thing is that the strategy he's constructed is so bulletproof that it's an afterthought, right? So navigating the dynamics and the environments and all that stuff, it comes with experience, but not having to concern yourself with, am I winning in this spot? Am I sticking to my guns with what I understand about poker? Am I intimidated? Like, he just doesn't have that. He's just a robot, man. He's I tell him he's an EV assassin, He just finds the spot and tries the way to maximize it.
The solver wizard. And Landon, I know that, are you 22, 23?
22, yeah.
22. You're a year older than I am and much further than the poker world than I am. But you can still relate to even the players that we're watching right now here on Pokerstars. And you took down that MSPT tournament. What does it take, and what advice do you have for young players in going from start to end in a tournament and taking it down?
I think a lot of it is trying not to do too much, but also understanding sometimes pots are more important in the sense of running a bluff versus understanding how important chips are in a certain spot. Especially a lot more learning with final table work and hands that are pretty unintuitive to play, where it just takes a lot of time and studying into how to effectively play final tables, just because most of the money and the mistakes that are made are if you get to that point in the tournament, not making them is going to serve you pretty well to either ladder more effectively or find ways to win. But yeah, a lot of it's just post flop work. I came from a cash game background, so my post flop play is pretty solid, and my pre flop game is probably my biggest weakness when it comes to tournaments. So normally it's flipped where people are pretty solid pre flop, and then especially for shorter stack depths, call it 15 blinds and lower when it comes to playing for chips. But then post flop is kind of a mess.
All in call here,
man.
guys.
Oh man,
Ashutosh all in, and he ends up with wow. So what a flop. A set versus a top pair that actually picked up the nut flush draw on the turn, but unfortunately it was just not meant to be for Rage Ace, who is our 4th place finisher. And that is the only reason I would ever interrupt what you're saying there, Mr. Tice. So Alec, can you just tell us what the prizes are for 4th place? I know you already said a lot of the players get the same prizes. What gets added for our 4th place finisher?
Yeah, it gets from headrush.com, gets that 1-hour lesson with Alex Fitzgerald, which is a big one as well. Still gets the same memberships all across the board: Poker Go, Poker Coaching, that PLO Quick Pro Hotel Savings Card, and the Solve for TV 12-month all-in access pass. But gets a chance to talk to Alex Fitzgerald as well and get a little lesson from him as well. Landon, before we let you go, before we get to our first break here in the final table, what is the one thing that you feel like, because I feel like you have, as Matt mentioned, such a hard work ethic. What is the next thing that you're like, okay, I need to get to this point to feel like I'm progressing in my poker career?
I think a lot of it, especially with my newfound desire to get better at MTTs, is definitely to put in more work in that regard and just kind of study more and work with the people I work with and feel like I get a little bit better every day. And it's been really great. But I don't really think there's anything achievement necessary for me to kind of feel better about things, and it's more of like a personal, just kind of get a little bit better every day, and then sort of see what happens from there. And I mean, it's been going great the past couple months, and definitely can't really complain at all.
Absolutely. Landon, it's been great meeting you, great talking to you. Glad to see you and Matt get another chance to banter as if you don't see each other almost every day, I'm sure. But appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, of course.
That was Landon Tice, Wizard of the Sim.
One of the rising stars in the poker world. Yeah, great to have him on. And we're down to 3 guys. Here we go.
Go ahead, man. What?
I was just gonna say he's a special breed, to say the least. I've never seen, at least not in this day and age, somebody so enthusiastic about poker.
All right, that's our 5-minute break, folks, and our fantastic commentators also need to take a break during this as well. So we'll be right back with Jennifer Shahade, Poker Pro and Chess Extraordinaire, when we come back here on World College Poker. And we are back, folks, as we begin the second hour of our final table. I want to bring in chess champion and Pokerstars Team Pro, Jennifer Shahade, to talk to Clayton and Matt. How are you doing, Jennifer?
Fantastic. Good to see everybody.
And how you been? It's so good to see you. How was your pandemic? What's happening?
I saw you in Central Park like 3 months ago. So yeah, it was a fun time. And I'm really excited to call this final table, actually final 3 with you guys. Just 3 players left. Wow, looks like you've got a really big chip leader here. How has J-Jack D been playing?
Strong to fairly strong.
Yeah, he's been crushing it since before we even went on the air yesterday. He's been just the prohibitive chip leader from the beginning. I said earlier, Jen, that it was reminiscent of Joe Meehan's World Series of Poker Championship, where he just pretty much had all the chips the whole way.
Look at that. He just made those 2 big jams in a row. One of them for a large number of big blinds, 35. So has that been typical from his play as well?
He's been kind of all over. We've seen him min raise 3x. He raised call it off to bust a player for like 12 with ace deuce off, which was kind of aggro. But yeah, he's in it to win. The thing is that the structure is kind of a winner take all. So first place is an EPT package. You also get to play heads up versus Patrick Antonius. Like, it's this big thing. Yeah. And then all the other prizes like scale way down. So he's definitely playing a winner take all strategy.
And by the way, he actually did not jam this hand bind versus bind. He just completed, and now we actually see the flop and the turn. What do you think he's doing with that with like the really bad stuff and the really good stuff? Is that the way you
like almost has to just be traps, right? Like, there isn't very much incentive to even limp the bad stuff.
Yeah, that's what I would think. Especially, is there's obviously second and third prizes as well, right?
Yeah. Second place gets to come spend 3 days with me at the academy.
Oh, wait. Okay. So let me figure this out.
Yeah, don't let him downplay the prizes for second and third. I mean, the big prize is the EPT.
So they're playing for third and first, really.
Yeah, well, third place is to come hang out in Philadelphia with me.
Sure.
There's a famous joke about Philadelphia, like that first prize is 2 weeks in Philadelphia. First prize is 3 days in Philadelphia, and second prize is 2 weeks in Philadelphia. So
that's funny.
I mean, actually, Philadelphia is a great place.
Love.
It is a great place, but a New Yorker wrote that joke, Clayton.
Yeah, I think I wrote that one myself, actually. No, I love Philadelphia. I lived there for a little while. Great city. Oh, we got an all-in and a call.
Bang.
A flip.
And there she goes.
There it is. 10 on the flop. And Gabby is going to double up here. So we're still with 3 players as the Argentinian takes it down. Very nice.
Yeah, very nice to see a woman in the top 3. Love to see it. And, with that double up, she's a little bit back in it. Man, they are playing so quickly. They're really
yeah, which we appreciate because it's cards down. Yeah, they're going fast here.
Which you're right, that is great that's great. And here we have that rejam from J-Jack D. And Gabby's got a decision. Oh, there is the call. Any guesses?
It's strong hand.
Man,
that makes sense.
Another flip. He can do no wrong. Yeah, J-Jack just busts another player. Now we're heads up. And Alec, quickly, what's the prize for third place? What's the difference?
So the extra add-on is you got a vacation package with PLO Quick Pro plus the hotel savings card. You're also getting a gaming chair, a $375 value. And we're already all in. And, Polkit gets a double. Man, a good thing I looked back. Got 3 10s there. A good thing I looked back at the screen. And a free 1-hour lesson with Jonathan Little and the membership at pokercoaching.com and all of the other things I mentioned before. But also, folks, the pocket pairs not really holding up in today's final table. I don't remember a pocket pair that's held in a minute.
The flips are going the other way for sure. But yeah, the action has been fast and furious. Maybe more so than you might expect. It's not like these players are so short, but yeah, it's been The chips are flying, and J-Jack has been driving the action from the very beginning of this final table. Our Korean player has just been dominating and hasn't looked back once as he busts yet another player. Here we are with 102 in the pot. The 76,000 bet takes it down. Wow. Another all in. Here we go. Is he going to call?
Yeah. So an EPT for first place. That's a very nice prize. JJ. Go ahead.
They also get to play against Patrick Antonius for a heads-up match that hasn't been scheduled yet, but there'll be prizes for that as well. So there's a lot on the line here, but really both of these players are going to be big winners because, as we mentioned, second prize includes an paid trip to Las Vegas to participate in a Solve for Y Academy with our very own Matt Berkey. So, that's at this point, it's all gravy.
Yeah, I mean, Vegas is such a great town, especially if you're trying to improve your poker as well. So that's exciting. And Berkey, like if Polk Goyle does win that seat to Vegas and to learn with you, what are you going to tell him based on this session?
It's difficult to really abstract anything. He's basically had like sub 30 blinds the entire time.
Yeah.
And it's just gone incredibly fast. I haven't noticed too much that seems to be any sort of leak. He did call from the small blind a couple times when J-Jack opened cut, which never really resulted favorably for him. But in general, it seems like he has pretty sound strategy. The fact that he's limping button off of a 20-25 blind stack is pretty good. Makes me think that he's at least looked at heads-up ranges at some point.
I like that. You never used to see it. You never used to see the button limp. Even as I can remember just 5 or 6 years ago, even with 20 bigs, you would see players always raising the button.
There it
and
is.
then having to fold to the. Oh, here we go.
Nope.
Another
God,
flip.
and there's a 10.
There's the 10. All right. So Pulkit Goyal from India stays alive, and we get to keep chatting with Jen Shahadi. Lucky us, lucky Pulkit, and unlucky J-Jack.
And there's actually a lot of overlap lately in India between poker and chess, as I'm going to be on a stream of a comedian and chess player, Samai Reina, next week. And we're going to be playing poker and chess at the same time. So I know there's a lot of hunger for chess and poker in India right now.
Absolutely. And somebody in the chat had asked you as well that, how, they asked, do you feel like chess has helped you at all at the poker table? And if so, how? How has it helped you?
Oh gosh, yes, a lot. I think the number one way is actually off the poker table, as the way you study poker, especially in recent years, is a lot like the way people have been studying chess for decades. So very systematic and kind of trying to chunk situations that come up all the time and study those. So it's really similar using programs. We have something in chess called ChessBase that might remind you of the kind of like solver study tool. In that it has like a very robust functioning, also very high learning curve. So I think that's the number one thing, not what chess teaches you about poker on the table, but what it teaches you off the table.
Ooh.
And
both players with a pair of kings there. It went by so quickly, but it looks like yes.
Yeah, J-Jack D, actually, I think that was a bluff because I think they had Jack 7 off. I think they were trying to bluff at
Jack
that,
7,
and
okay.
Polkit called down with the king.
Called down with the top pair. All right, well, he's more in the match than he's been. We can say that much. I like this big sizing when the board pairs on the turn from out of position. He should have more 7s, I think. But now he checks the river. Feels like a give up to me. We'll see if J-Jack wants to fire or just turn his cards over. He does fire 56 here in the 75K pot.
Yeah,
and a call.
Wow.
Oh, was that a chop?
Oh, they both had a 3.
Both had the 3. Wow.
Chop it up.
yeah, I think it was ace 3 and 3-4.
Yeah, 3-4. I wish we could see those cards for just another half a second before they disappear. It's like an eye test at this point for me. There's no action on the flop, and now another check here on the turn. I expect J-Jack to almost always bet here once he gets checked to twice, but no, he does check behind. I guess he's got some kind of showdown value. The overbet on the end takes it down. What do you think of that play, guys? What do you think, Jen? The overbet there on the river.
That was from J-Jack D. Is that right? I'm
No,
sorry,
the
I
other
wasn't
player.
following right there. Oh,
No,
yeah.
the out of position player fired the overbet and took it down on the end.
Well done. I mean, looking like a match. They actually told me in the chat that I was giving spoilers. I have no idea who's going to win. This is real live time. It was just that a few minutes ago, Pulkit Goya was so outchipped, it seemed very unlikely that he would win this match. Now, he's actually more than doubled up since I think I asked that question.
Yeah, Jen, if you can give spoilers to this event, can I borrow your crystal ball sometime?
Oh, absolutely. I don't know. I might want to use it for something else, though.
Sure thing. Another limp here on the button. 8 tray deuce.
So we had the chat asked to all of you, Pulkit just lost a pot back down to 344. What sort of range should Pulkit be going all in with pre-flop, or is there a range? Should they still be trying to play pots?
He's too deep. I don't really think you start open jamming button until sub 20 blinds. He could be reshoving a fair amount, but it's kind of strange because Jack is like open jamming like up to 30.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which, if he has like a very specific like set of hands that he's doing with, like could be viable, but he's definitely doing it enough that it's not like he's doing it with like deuces through fours and then occasionally like some ace-x. It seems like it's more prevalent than that. And now
here's a shove.
But now he does have 20 bigs because he just lost that pot. So now this shove does make a lot more sense, right?
This is also Jack's first limp on the button, which I would have thought this would have got snap called. I was gonna say like this is a trap for sure. Don't fall for it, but now it seems like maybe I don't know. Maybe he's doing the "How I Want to Be a Millionaire" celebration where he's calling his dad and saying, "Hey, I just want to let you know I trapped this guy with aces."
It's a very risky strategy, guys. Don't try that. The one time you try that, you're gonna time out.
Yeah.
I do love that millionaire video though, Berkey. That is like one of my favorites. Where he's like, I don't really have a question. I just wanted to let you know I won $1 million.
Yeah.
It is so baller.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very odd here to limp, and then it's literally the first limp heads up from Gian, and then he is tanking. Like if you're limping, you should know what you're going to do. Yeah,
I think he has aces. I honestly think he's slow rolling.
You think he has aces? No,
I really do.
I not like
folds.
All right, I wanted him to have aces. Okay.
Okay, that's fine. You wanted him to have aces.
I wanted it to be a big giant slow roll.
Well, we didn't see the cards, so we can't know for sure, Berkey. But I have a feeling you were wrong.
Yeah, me too.
I think you're probably right.
Berkey wanted violence there so badly. So badly.
I just really wanted the fact that he tanked for like 45
Look at this.
seconds.
A limp raise fold there as Poke Goyo picked up a nice pot. Well done.
I think that's pretty viable. It doesn't seem like it seems like he's playing a pure limp strategy. So he probably had a hand that he planned to like limp call a jam and then face the raise instead.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. He has yet to raise his button. It's a pure limp strategy thus far, no matter what his stack as it fluctuates. But now he 3-bets all in and takes it down. He's not going down without a fight, and I like it. He's got to keep swinging and trying to exploit or figure something out here to get him back in this match. He needs 2 double ups. We've seen it. It happens.
I mean, the 30 blinds effective. There's still a lot of play here.
Sure.
Yeah, especially doesn't feel that way because they're playing so quickly and there are so many huge jams. But I can imagine in another context it's taking quite a while. All right, 8-3.
Yeah. The chip disparity I think is what's misleading. Because J-Jack's really like turning up the variance and just willing to play all in for 30 blinds. It seems like they're pretty far apart, but the truth of the matter is like Pokit doesn't have to be all in very much. 30 blinds goes a long way, even in heads up.
That's a good point, Matt. And the fact that J-Jack keeps going all in is probably what prompted one of our viewers to ask that question about what sort of range should Pokit be going all in with, when the real answer is probably not, especially when he had, 400K.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just because your opponent keeps going all in doesn't mean that you have to find a spot to go all in. Just let him do it when you have the nuts and then call.
This is
Nice
kind of
little pet size there.
That was a very strangely played hand. So it went limp check. I think it went flop check check, and then Pokit bet rather large on the turn. I can't imagine he has too many aces in his range as played. Just checking back. Maybe he has like some of his worst ones, like ace deuce off. But then he did find a follow through on the backdoor spade, so more probable that a bluff came through.
Blinds are going up to 714 in just 1 minute. As Pokit min raises this time. Okay, that's different. Normally we've been seeing him limp, and then he just insta-folds to the jam.
Yeah, well, the button before that, he open folded. So maybe he said, well, I have another terrible hand that I don't want to fold, so this time let me try for the min raise, and got punished for it. Yeah, he was playing, just a minute ago, he was playing a consistent pure limp strategy.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
seems
yeah,
to be mixing it up.
He's
Yeah.
trying to prove you guys wrong, basically.
He's mixing it up now.
That's the strategy I approve of.
Yes.
All right,
Yep.
so... Exciting, though. I mean, college and poker is so important to the growth of the game, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, we love what they're doing here at World College Poker. Just bringing poker to the masses of young people around the world. It's quite an accomplishment just to make this final table with, something like 1,300 entries worldwide. All college students.
Oh, look at
Oh,
that.
top
Great.
two there. Wow.
Huge hand is now Pokit Goyo has definitely got a jam range. Oh boy, he's down to 164K. Yikes.
Just as the blinds are going up. So.
Just like 12 big blinds. Oh, and he's folded a few in a row, and on top of that,
not good.
I mean,
Not good.
Good.
And that's it. Here's
feeling
the call.
a call. There it is. King 7. Well played.
Nice call with King 7.
Chop.
We have a
at
chop.
8. Yes, King 7 versus King 4. There are going to be chops, especially when the flop is ace 6.
Yeah, of course, that paired board makes the chop more likely, but
Yeah.
at least the 4 didn't hit. So that's good news.
Yeah, glass half full. And here's another
Oh, wow.
call. Ace 10. Huge hand. Looks like he's going to get that
Bang.
double up.
Very nice. Double up for Pulkit Goyal, our Indian player. He is not going down without a fight. He keeps doubling up just when he needs to. Let's see if he can do one more. He could really have a shot here. All right,
Another
chipping
pot.
away. Chipping away. He now has in excess of 20 big blinds. So as we said before, he doesn't necessarily have to just open shove when he wants to play a pot. He can actually do a little more maneuverability. 3-bet all in and take it down. Very nice.
Yeah, now he's up to 350. Yes, 1430 players entered this event,
Nice.
and now it's down to just 2. Limp pot here, right? Ace, King 7, 2 clubs. And it looks like J-Jack D is slowing down a little bit pre-flop. Of course, that could just be the distribution of hands he's getting. But look at that, a raise on the turn.
Yeah, that's happened to me a couple of times too, Jen. Every time I say he's slowing down, he does something aggressive.
Well, that's right. Yeah, the commentator's curse. Can't get anything right. Rahul says, lots of Indians are watching. How can my boy lose? Uh-oh. Well, he did lose that pot, but he's still in it.
Still in it.
And his whole country is behind him, guys. Back to the limp here on the button. 954 Rainbow.
And just a reminder of what we're playing for. It's an EPT package, expense package. You get the swag bag, but also something I didn't even mention that's unique to this event. On the right side of your screen, a trophy for an engraved trophy from Pokerstars, one of a kind, just for this event. So all that to play for. That value priceless, I would have to say. That trophy.
Or at least a few hundred Instagram likes.
Yeah, I would say that too.
And here we are all in Pukekoya. He does take that 336.
We've seen that a few times now, where J-Jack raises and then the 3-bet shove takes it down. Should be interesting to see if he decides to change his strategy or just say, you know what, I still have all the chips. I'm just going to keep doing it until it works.
Okay, nice bet there with the 10.
Nice value bet with third pair.
Yeah,
wins the pot.
Okay, so a little different. Usually we've seen J-Jack D make huge shoves pre-flop, but there he's just raised versus a limp, and he sees this monotone board come out. That's third pot.
A pretty big bet out of position on a monotone board.
Right, so monotone boards favor some pretty small sizing in many cases, even smaller than a third pot.
Yeah, especially out of position, you want to do a heavy amount of checking.
Well, he checks now, and let's see what happens in position here. Pulkeet, with the entire country of India rooting for him, bets 70,000 and gets called.
Ooh.
He had two pair aces and sixes. Very nice.
Well, now so this is about as close as it's been since I've been watching, at least.
Yeah, this is the highest stack that we've seen for Pulkeet. So what I was kind of wishing for earlier, he's scraped and scratched and clawed his way into the match. If he happens to double up again, guys, he will be our chip leader.
Rahul in the chat says that watch for Pulkeet on 4% battery, and I would highly recommend, Rahul, to maybe get that charger, because it seems like we're going to be here for a little while longer.
Oh, no, really? Are you serious? I don't see that. Oh, no. No, now I know why he's playing so fast. Uh-oh. But this is a big pot. Oh, and he just folds it.
Well, Rahul was watching. He's like, my battery's on 4%, but watching the final table, and I think Rahul is going to want to plug in the phone. If you're
not the player.
Not the player. Not the player.
Oh,
yeah,
God. Okay.
That would be very degenerate, but no.
No, the player's plugged in. He's plugged in.
Okay. Racing against the clock. But isn't that what we're all doing in life?
I love when she gets philosophical.
All right, JJD seems to be changing his strat, actually. I've seen a lot of raising. It seems like he's using the size 42,000. So he's 3xing. But this hand, rather, is limped, though. I've seen a lot of hands that get checked down the river when they're limped pre, and then we often see some kind of bet size on the river. But of course, as soon as I said that, it is not what transpired, and J-Jack D picks it up. Another limped pot, which is kind of complicated with a board like this, right? Because most hands that smash this board would raise pre-flop, unless you have a pure limping strategy, but clearly J-Jack D does not, right? No, so he could be a little tricky, but I think that might tie into why Pukekoya goes for it and ends up instead losing the pot.
Getting punished with pure aggression. It keeps happening.
It's still a bit of a surprising check back, even without having a ton of traps in the limping range. You're still going to have a pretty massive advantage on that type of texture.
So he waited till the turn to make his move.
Yeah, it seems like it could have been potentially just a trap of sorts, or maybe just a check back jack.
Yeah, we were still
Yeah.
talking about that ace jack 10 board with the 2 hearts, and now we got a 4 jack 10 board with 2 clubs.
I wonder what the poker scene is like in Korea and India. Have either of you two either traveled there? I know you both do quite a bit of traveling. Have you made it to India, Jen?
I've been to India for chess. Chess
You
is
have?
huge there because they've got an amazing, legendary world champion, Vishy Anand, who is 50 years old but looks like he's 30. He is still at the top of his game, and he's just crushing it on all different areas. So I think he's a huge role model. So that's why one of the reasons chess is so popular in India. But now poker is kind of coming along as well.
Yeah, as we saw by the number of Indian players who registered for and competed in this event, we had a good representation from that country. How about you, Berkey? Spend much time in Asia?
No, I haven't been. The farthest trip I've made is Australia. Haven't been to Asia. I haven't been to India. Would love to go. Apparently, the Chinese poker scene is just absolutely booming at the moment. I think they're starting to loosen up a little bit on gambling restrictions over there.
Oh, sorry.
Oh man.
Wow, here we go for a bet.
After some thought, though, is that a pretend thought or a real thought?
I don't know, but his stack is now at an all-time high at 653. It's just a 2-1 chip lead here for J-Jack from Korea.
By the way, Berkey, you were just saying that poker is booming in China, right?
Yeah. I don't know this is directly true, but I have a couple of Chinese friends here that are really trying to get into the poker space there. They're developing like NFTs and things like that, and I guess that they don't have a lot of availability to all of the same content that we do. I think their YouTube is different there. They have just like a Chinese version. So I guess like all they really have access to is like Live at the Bike. So guys like Garrett are just superstars in China, unbeknownst to him.
That's amazing. I mean, although it is unfortunate that they're not able to enjoy all the different offerings that so many can. Yeah, I understand. The Great Firewall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. The politics in China. Yeah, they have a lot of control over what media the people can consume or not. Their Google is different. Their YouTube is different. Everything is controlled by the government. As we see a big bet here, take it down on the river, and these guys continue to battle. No matter how it turns out, I'm glad that Pulkeet made it exciting, you know, with all these double ups and just winning all these pots. Both of these players really seem to be mixing up their strategies at this point, partly based on the evolving stack sizes and how things change when you have 20 blinds as opposed to 40 or whatever the case may be. But also just, I think, for deception, as far as I can tell, seems like they're just trying to stay one step ahead of the other in the proverbial cat and mouse game that is heads up.
Good identification of a big bet board here by Gian. Nice follow through on a turn brick. It's tough for Pokit to have defense there. I'm sure that he had like a king high, or sorry, pair king, maybe a weak ace there that can't really hold water.
Nine, 8-7 on the flop. No c-bet again from J-Jack. I mean, as aggressive as he is, his c-bet frequency does seem to be kind of low, especially since we've gotten heads up.
He seems to identify board textures pretty well. He's choosing big sizes on the correct textures. He's choosing small sizes mostly on the correct textures. Checking back on 9-8-7 in a limp pot seems reasonable.
And he called the turn bet, and now that we see an overbet by Pokegoya on the river, the ace.
I think we're gonna see Gian have a lot of 6x here or two pairs, and just like have to flip a coin as far as like how he's gonna defend. Unless
yeah, it's a tough spot with two pair.
Yeah, unless he thinks Pokit is just like getting out of line.
It's the second or third overbet we've seen from the Indian, so I'm not sure what to make of that without ever having to see, having the opportunity to see what they have. But yeah, I am noticing that he's not scared to put in that over bet if he feels it's the right spot for him.
Another limp raise. All right. Pulkit Goyal. All right, we've got a raised pot here, 366. Could be a big one. Puts in 2/3 on the flop. Big bet. And takes it down. What'd you say, Berkey, about the sizing?
I think that's good sizing. I think given stacked pot ratio and how dry the board texture is, he gets to push pretty big nut advantage there.
In 1 minute, our blinds will go up, 8-16.
It's interesting to me that Gian delay c-bets on the ace-high boards in limp pots. So that's twice now we've seen it come ace-jack high, where he's checked back and then put in a turn bet. Kind of fascinating because he has such a big ace advantage even in the limp pots.
Yeah, that is an unusual strategy. I mean, he can rep that ace so much easier than his opponent can, and yet he still waits until the turn to fire. And maybe he has the ace and he's waiting for the other one to catch up a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of think that is probable.
Jennifer, I did want to mention that you are an ambassador for Poker Power. Tell us a little bit about your work with them and how you're trying to encourage more women to get into the game.
Oh, yeah, I'm on their advisory board, and, I do a lot of work in chess to get more girls and women into the game. I've been doing that for decades, and so to me, it's also very important in poker. I think that poker teaches women a lot of skills that are important for business and corporate world, and also just for being more confident, happy, social people. So, it's a very important mission to me. I love the game of poker. And I think the game of poker will be more fun for everyone if more women play. So I'm on their advisory board, so I give them advice about how to make that a reality. And I think that supporting organizations like yours is definitely a good move. As well as I just really love their strategy of teaching 1 million women poker, right? I think this is a great approach. Giving classes to teach the basics and also kind of like explain how poker can help you in your corporate or business life, even if you don't become a professional poker player. I think that's what we want. We want people who take it really seriously and become super passionate, but we also want people who can use poker to make their life better, but mostly have a life outside of it. And that's how I think we really raise the number of women in the game.
Jen, what skills do you think poker players learn that apply well to the corporate space?
Oh, definitely risk tolerance and understanding that if you're never getting told no, then it's not just because you're great at what you do, which is probably true, but also because you're not aggressive enough, right? So I think that's really key because everybody's afraid of rejection, but I think in particular women, if they're asking for something and they're getting told no, like you're asking for too much, that can feel like a personal failing, but it's not. It's actually a sign of growth. And I mean, I've struggled with that as well. So
it's a really interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting take because, it might be natural for people. I mean, I guess women, but probably lots of men too, to feel like, well, if the answer was no, then I should not have asked the question. But I think in poker as well as in the corporate world, that is often actually the opposite is true, correct?
Totally. If you don't ask, you don't get, right? We know that saying, but rejection is so unpleasant viscerally that people might know that, but it doesn't mean that they're able to pull the trigger. And we see this in poker as well. You might know that you're supposed to jam with this terrible hand in this situation, but that doesn't mean you're always going to do it, right? Especially if you're around a lot of people and you feel like you could get psyched out. So that overlap, I think, is what's really important.
That's huge. As we see the dwindling stack of Pulkit Goyal, who a short while ago had over 600K, now down to about 400 as the blinds keep going up and punishing the fact that this is taking a while. Still hanging in there, though.
Yeah.
And again, if he doubles up, the chip lead. So it's far from over, guys.
Or close to it. It'll be like an even match almost. At 430. You know, it can be hard. Jack D had him down to, I think, about 100K at some point. So this does require, like, I think that's a tough poker skill too that's really important. When you're so close to closing a deal, you're so close to closing it, but then, you know, you have to kind of like keep going, right? I think that's something that we don't talk about a lot in poker. That patience is really a difficult mental game skill.
Yeah, in Gion's mind, this probably should have been over a long time ago. I had you up against the ropes and you just keep fighting back. Yeah, that can be a bit discouraging as the chip leader, just trying to deliver that knockout blow and it just doesn't happen. And you start to wonder, will it happen? But yeah, I think patience is the key there as well.
It's not only good just, you know, for Pulkit to stay in the tournament, but also extending the game, running the clock out, and extending things can only maybe allow John to make more mistakes as well. And you're adding more variance into a spot that really John should just be taking down and should just have a lock on. But as these blinds get up, you know, we're going to introduce more variance, and you'd have to think that that's probably better for the short stack.
I mean, I think it depends. It's better for whoever is like technically less skilled or who's particularly skilled at short stack poker.
That's fair.
Yeah. But I personally think, okay, and here we've got a raise and an all-in jam, and Pulkit looks like he's thinking about it, but he folds. I got excited there. I thought that was going to be the one. That it was going to be either a winner or...
I thought we were going to have a really big pot to determine whether or not Jack can get this done. But no, Pulkit had to get out of the way. Pick a different spot. You know, like we said, he does have chips to play with. Although now he's reached the point where a double up, he's still going to be pretty far behind. But yeah, that's really not even the right way to look at it. He just has to take it one hand, one decision at a time. You know, in his shoes right now, he can't win the tournament on this hand, but he could lose it.
There it is.
He got taken to Value Town on that one.
It is a great heads-up match. People are talking about the persistence and grit shown by the players. All in and a call. Queen Jack. Uh-oh, it looks like it.
Oh!
Pulls it out. And we are going to continue. And now he's back up to almost 600 again. Nice double. The best hand did hold up, although the flop made it exciting. And we're going to keep going with this heads-up match.
I can hear the sighs of relief.
On the line.
Sighs of relief all the way from India, Clayton. I can hear it.
The whole country is behind you, Pulkit. Yeah, it seems like the game is really growing big. And in a similar way, to, as Jen was saying, as chess has gotten really big in India, it seems that poker is also really growing there. I don't know if there is I know there's a huge Indian chess star that you mentioned, but I don't know, like, is there a really big poker pro from India that we can think of?
Oh yeah, I mean there is there's Muskan Sethi, right? And then
sure.
Yeah, there's some well-known poker stars. I mean, there's well-known poker players from India too. Let me trying to refresh my memory.
But there's a lot of high-level poker players who have Indian descent. It's just more so like native-born, I guess. I'm less familiar with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's Aditya Agarwal. That's the one I was thinking of. Aditya Agarwal as well.
Ace Queen 10 here on the flop. Check, check. Now, a quick check on the jack. I wonder if that's a bit of a tell. Would you check that quickly if you had a king? Or would you at least consider betting? Not to worry. Takes it down with the bet there on the end. A min raise on the button gets called. Queen 5 deuce rainbow. Not the wet board we've been seeing 90% of the time at this table. Let's see if Pokeet goes for a... Oh, well, as it turns out, J-Jack leads and gets min raised. And called. Big pot brewing.
We could see an ace 4 6 4 scenario here every once in a while. Probably not with that sizing though. Yeah.
Oh,
So
down
the
to
queen
300
gets it.
again.
Yeah, missed his flush on the turn and tried to bluff it on the end. Did not work. Back down to 300-ish for Pokeet.
And Gian had 2 pair there, queens and 4s.
I think he just had the 1.
He just had the 4.
The queen. He had the queen.
Oh yeah, sorry, the queen. He had the gut shot, right.
Yeah,
Okay,
which
that
made
makes
it easier. I was gonna say I was wondering if there was any sizing that was gonna get John to fold there. 80,000 seemed like it was for maybe what made sense. I don't know. What do you think? Did you think that was a decent bet given that potential range that he has? Oh, we have an all in
call here.
Oh my gosh!
Oh boy!
And the 8 hits the board, but it's not over yet.
No, that's it.
Gosh!
And this match is the wild swings of one single hand, Ace King versus King 8, and King 8 took the lead on the flop, and then sure enough, the river ended it all over. So, wow, what a final table. Jennifer, first off, thank you so much for being here. What did you think of the play at the final table?
It was great. It was really entertaining. I mean, they were fighting back. They were switching up their strategies, which make it interesting for the commentators. And most importantly, they were also playing really fast, which meant that if one hand wasn't that interesting, we got to the next one right away. So, I mean, I thought it was awesome. And congratulations to the winners, both to everybody at the final table, really. But to going to an EPT,
yes,
supported by Pokerstars, and then also Solve for Y Academy in Vegas, which is one of my favorite cities. I think that they're both going to be quite happy.
They're both
going
winners.
to bed.
Oh yeah. So John, by the way, officially from the Republic of Korea, can call themselves the best college poker player on the planet, and has a custom Pokerstars trophy to go with it and to show it off for proof. But on the other hand, Pokeet, great showing at the final table in the final 2, gave it quite a run. And I said, Pokeet will be seeing Matt Berkey here not too long in Vegas at the Solve for Y Academy. I'm sure looking forward to that. Great heads up. Couldn't ask for much more there. That was very entertaining. Any final thoughts from anybody before we let everybody go on this main event final table stream?
Go ahead, Matt. Let's hear what you have to think of this final table.
I thought everybody played really well. I saw a lot of very good bet sizing selections, a lot of intuition being demonstrated on flop textures. It seems like these guys aren't just your average free roll players. I imagine that they're a lot more studied than that. Really excited to get to meet and work with Pokeet. Congratulations to Gian on the big win and his potential in the EPT. It's going to be a pretty big opportunity, likely playing for $1 million, I'm sure.
Yeah, that'll be huge. That'll be huge.
Yeah, so it should be fun to see how that goes. I know that I will be rooting for Gian when he gets to play in that EPT, just knowing that he got to start here with us at World College Poker. That's exciting.
That's right. Yeah, and Gian, Patrick Antonius, too. He gets to play Patrick Antonius. That was another thing. Jennifer, go ahead.
Oh, that's huge. Yeah, so Gian already clearly has a lot of talent in heads-up poker, but he's going to have to continue to step up his study and practice, as that'll be an amazing opportunity to learn versus Patrick Antonius. Also, shout out to Gabby from Argentina, as she was our last woman standing and almost won the whole thing, ended up coming in 3rd place. So that was nice to see a woman get super deep in this as well.
That's right. Clayton, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, Alec, this is, I don't know, the fourth or fifth one of these you and I have done together. And I guess each one just gets more and more exciting to me. I love World College Poker. I love what we're doing here. And it's so nice to see, just the sponsors coming out and supporting our mission to try to bring more poker to college students around the world. And I just want to thank you, Alec, for kind of being our producer / commentator / host / everything else. I can just call you Slash from now on.
Slash, yeah.
And he just being such an anchor for the whole operation. So I appreciate you so much. And of course, Berkey, it's great to have a chance to work with you. And Jen, I always love seeing you as well. So it's been a lot of fun. So thanks, guys.
Absolutely. And before we go, first off, I want to thank Matt, the entire team at Solve for Why, for allowing us to host this on their channel, and for being so gracious at giving away so many great prizes and supporting us along the way. Jen, thanks for coming on at the end and commentating so beautifully and giving your advice and expert analysis, and for representing Poker Power, a great organization as well. Clayton, like I said, I've had a blast doing these with you and hope to do more in the future. Pokerstars for helping us throw an amazing worldwide multi-week event with about 3 months' notice. That was, and they've done a great job, all the people over there. And our many sponsors, like we said, PLO Quick Pro, Brain Fuel, and Colton that came on today, Tom from Faded Spade, Patrick Antonius in the Flop app, Card Player, Next Gen Poker, Poker Bankroll Tracker, Jonathan Little, Tana. You can see that there's so many, right? There's so many people that have been behind this. DMB Publishing, Odd Nova, Aquarian Bookstore, Mindset Mentoring, Poker Go, Red Chip, and James Swaney. And all of our guests today have been so fantastic and a part of making this happen. And I am sure you will see us again for another event here on World College Poker. But until then, for everybody here, Alec Rome saying thank you so much for joining us, and bye-bye for now.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.